Chapter 121. After a couple of seconds, both pulled away from each other. The guys tried to catch their breath and come up with the next step. For the first time, our hero participated in a fight in which he did not want to lose. Hart felt the same. Because of this, he had a desire to ask the opponent where he came from, but it is a pity that even if he will talk, then no one will hear him. The battle approached his culmination. He had to wrest victory and not shame the honor of the Busa family. With a loud whistle, the boy's body was engulfed in a golden flame, as if he had become a phoenix himself. Lu Yin was surprised that his opponent had not yet used all his power. This golden flame was incredibly powerful. Hart, like a master of fire, pointed the palm of his hand at the young man and rushed to him. Our hero concentratedly put his hand in front of him and called 6 celestial stars of starry palm, but it seemed to him that this would not be enough. Loudly digging, calling all his strength, on his palm appeared the 7th, not yet fully formed star. Together with his technique, he met the attack of the guy. The power of the 7 stars was incredibly fierce. Hart felt in danger and instinctively stood in the defensive rack, but in the end the blow threw him down. The starry palm of Lu Yin could not harm the opponent, but dissipated his skill. Having a slight advantage, the young man was near a guy who fell his back on the destroyed platform and hit him in the stomach. Having received a direct blow, Hart was plucked with blood, but he managed to kick our hero, throwing him away from himself. However, Lu Yin, with the help of the flickering of the empty again, appeared near him and swung the star palm. The guy lying on the ground, roaring and burst into flames again. He did not want to lose and intended to fight to the last. The next moment, his body, covered by a golden flame, began to suddenly recover, as if he had reborn. The young man was shocked. He immediately remembered the case of Qing Yu, who did not die in any. Having thought, our hero decided to charge another star palm. In response to the attack, a fiery bird flew out of the palms of Hart. The strongest techniques of the two masters again collided with each other, but they could not continue so much. The guy lost consciousness. The load on his body surpassed the limits of Lu Yin. The young man was almost left without stellar energy, but noticing that the opponent could not do anything to him, from the last strength struck him with the trembling hand, thereby earning a victory. This battle made our hero really feel the horror of the geniuses of the inner universe. His opponent was only in the sphere of the guard, but his strength was on a completely different level. If it were not for his recent success in mastering control over stellar energy and helping the mentor Guan Yu, he would definitely lose. At the same time, in the inner universe in the gloomy forest of the 5th star of the Tale of Hart, Busa stood up. He looked extremely annoyed, because he was defeated, having lost a series of victories. It was a disgrace to him, so the guy promised to take revenge on the scoundrel nicknamed the 7th brother. Those around the master were confused. Junior Hart, well, how did you win? What to ask, I won. The guy ignored them, going to do training. Most of the forces possessing the cross-border stone outwardly had strongly standout features, in contrast to his last opponent, which meant that he was most likely a member of one of the branches of the Starry Academy. He must defeat him. Lu Yin decided to fight again, this time being in a swampy territory. At that moment, he was already his opponent. Seeing him, the young man was upset, as it was the brother of the hurricane, the first person he encountered in the Battle Kingdom and lost in a second. Their new meeting ended in the same way as the first. The opponent did not allow him to do anything. When our hero came out of the misunderstood field of cross-border stone, the old man announced, "Lu Yin, 1 victory and 7 defeats." "Did you win?" a Meng Yue wondered. The young man ignored him, meeting with a look with a girl. "You are from the inner universe. Do you know the name of Busa?" Michelle was surprised. "You met someone from the Busa family." Our hero nodded. "This is one of the strongest clans in the domestic region, so it is not surprising in your defeat." After these words, she entered the zone of cross-border stone. Lu Yin wanted to say that he won, but changed his mind. It is better that everyone thinks that he is weak, at least for now it is profitable. After a while, Meng Yue, after several more unsuccessful battles, left. Near the stone, there were only a young man and a cold beauty that in turn they fought in the battle kingdom. In a short time, our hero fought in 12 battles, of which 2 won, which again shocked Michelle, because his percentage of victories became the same as her, although she had an advantage in the whole sphere. Sometimes luck still favored even the most unlucky. In the 13th and 14th battles, Lu Yin faced opponents of the sphere of the guard. It seemed to the young man that they were freshmen of the Starry Academy. Victory over them was given to him with difficulty, but in the 15th battle he met with a huge problem, the master of the clan, Sylvan. Looking at the machine in front of him, our hero fell out of the jaw. In the battles of the Battle Kingdom there are also starvation beasts. Damn it, he even has a name above his head, Lunba. After digging, the dragon rushed to Luan Yu, directing his claws, energized by the mergers. If his opponent was the master of the sphere of Granny, then there would be no chance of victory at all. But against the cultivator of the merger, he could easily avoid the pressure of stellar energy. Lunba did not realize at all that his opponent could dodge, which was surprised. Then he created his clone and repeated the attack. The next moment, the young man hit the 2 dragons with the skill of the 6 streams. VZHSH tilde. Since the area was swampy, the fighters, pushing each other away, got bogged down in the quagmire. Sylvan had to get out of the viscous land with force, but most of all he was worried that his claws trembled from the load. He was shocked that the enemy of the Guardian Sphere offered him such fierce resistance. Is he a young master of the upper clan of the inner universe? Our hero also got out of the quagmire and looked at the dragon menacingly. 6 starlights already rotated on his palm. Lu Yin realized that his opponent was not at all a simple star beast, since he was able to achieve such strength in the sphere of the merger. It will be difficult for him to win, but it is worth trying. As soon as the young man was going to attack the Moonba, he sang his eyes and sharply increased the number of his clones from 1 to 4. Chapter 122. Seeing 5 huge Sylvans, our hero was shaken with such ability. Although the clones of the beast were an illusion, but so skillful that the present was difficult to detect, it was definitely a gift of heaven. 5 dragons raided the Lu Yin from all sides, blocking the path of retreat. The young man gritted his teeth and called the technique of the star, surrounding himself not only with 6 heavenly bodies, but also the 7th, still weak. Through his technique, he saw something that changed his past opinion. It turns out that it was not an illusion, as it seemed to him. Lunba simply moved so quickly that his residual shadows, similar to clones, were created. Fortunately, with his technique, our hero was not afraid of fast opponents. Raising the star palm, he shot him at the target he needed. When his attack was seen by the dragon, he was shocked. How is that possible? How did this guy find his real body so quickly? There was a loud roar of the blow. Lu Yin hit a huge head of Lunba, and that astonished from the incredible power of 7 stars. The young man managed to win. It was hard breathing. Our hero was out of joy. He was incredibly mashingly lucky to win 3 victories in a row, which means that he fulfilled the highest task of the sphere of the Guardian of the Starry Academy. The picture of space in front of him changed dramatically. Lu Yin was outside, but immediately entered again. He wanted to try whether he could win another fight, having won the 4th victory in a row. However, in the 16th battle, the opponent instantly killed him with a splash of a sword. The young man did not even see his name. He clearly came across a powerful master of the domain of the heavenly skate. It is good that our hero was so lucky earlier, otherwise he would not have been able to perform the task. As someone great said, good luck in its own way can also be considered a force. After leaving the fog of the cross-border stone, in its ears there was a voice of the old man. Lu Yin, 6 victories and 18 defeats. Michelle, who was standing nearby, was shocked by the fact that the young man won 3 victories in a row. He achieved this in the field of the guard. Hui Bai squeezed his fists. His current score, 3 victories and 52 defeats. Some ant has actually surpassed him. Coco was joyfully surprised. Brother Lu, this is yes, you have such a high percentage of victories. Among the masters of the merger, Hei Su is now the best. He has 1 victory for 4 fights, followed by her sister Michelle. She wins in 1 of the 5 fights, and you have almost every second victory. By the way, did you manage to win 3 fights in a row? Our hero stroked the girl on the head. I was just lucky. Hui Bai asked in a cold tone. How many guardians have you met? 3. HMP, really good. Lu and Yu was lazy to explain to the man that even if he was from a great clan, it does not mean that he is better than others. At least at the moment, he could have killed him in a second. Brother Lu, are you injured? Maybe, a prick, Coco asked with hope. A huge syringe immediately flashed in the mind of the young man, and he hurriedly shook his head. No, the battle in the Battle Kingdom is not real, so I am completely healthy. The girl dropped her head disappointedly. JR, Lu, congratulations on the completion of the highest task of the Guardian, said Xiao Pao, who suddenly appeared. I was just lucky, so it's not a big deal. I do not believe in luck. Every opponent in the Battle Kingdom is the supreme elite of the universe, and it is very difficult to defeat anyone. If everything was so simple, the highest task would have been completed long ago. Continue in the same spirit and now focus on winning in the 30 battles in a row. Coco asked, 30 wins in a row. Senior Xiao Pao, does the Academy give a reward for this? If someone can win 30 times in a row, then he will be allowed to challenge 100 from the rating of the starry sky. Our hero felt an easy excitement. In this ranking, all the masters were incredibly famous. The same Wendy took up the place somewhere among the top 20. In addition to the fact that, once in the rating, you become very famous, it will be very easy for you to join the Youth Council. And perhaps even to the most important headquarters, the advice of the 10 sentences. The girl grewed. In this rating, there are only abnormal ones. I even try meaninglessly. A Heidivergir shook his head. Any of you should have a goal. Short-term can be a victory in the competition of freshmen. By the way, I am here to inform you about it. It will be held in a month, and the award for the first place will be very unusual. What kind of? Asked the curious Coco. It's a secret. The girl again disappointed her head. Michelle looked at Lu Yin and headed to the cross-border stone. Our hero and Xiao Pao left. The guy had to do his own business, and the young man to pick up the award in the treasure pavilion. Among all the missions, in addition to those specifically issued by a certain branch, there were also common to the entire Academy of Starry Heaven. The performance of any task from the public always caused great excitement in all 10 branches. The mission for 3 consecutive victories for the Sphere of the Guard was considered the highest. It was the goal of Hart Busa, but it is a pity that he met Lu Yin in his 3rd fight. When the young man took the award, the task automatically disappeared from the list. Somewhere in the 9th branch, someone fulfilled the highest task of the Sphere of the Guard. In addition, he is from the 10th branch. Looks like something's brewing in there. The 10th branch is in the Blue Wave sector. Really, in such a distant place, there was a real genius. Although no, there must be just one of the younger inner universe joined her. At the same time in the 5th Academy, someone was ahead of him. His name is Lu Yin. Apparently, he's still that talent since he was able to complete the mission. Shit, it's a shame that the 10th branch won. Inside the 1st branch of the starry sky, the highest task of the guards was fulfilled. Well, what it didn't hurt and it was complicated, just most of those who could have finished it did not want to glow. If the 10th branch wants to raise your reputation with this, then she will not succeed. Don't say it anymore. Let the 10th branch be banished, but it's still worth respecting. The beauty, listening to the conversation of the students, for some time looked at the name of our hero, and then abruptly turned around and left. In the pavilion of the treasures, the bearded old man was astonished at the Loi Yin, continuously making an incomprehensible hiss. The young man looked at him with a dissatisfied look. Mentor, so you will give me a reward for the task. The old man laughed. The boy, do not call me a mentor, just call Old Sai. Our hero sucked his eyebrows. Old Sai. That's right. The 10th branch has not shown itself on the good side for a long time. A guy, you are the first person who managed to do it for many years. Ha ha ha. Lu Yin replied modestly, simple of luck. The old man gave the spatial ring to the young man and said, luck is also part of the power. All right, boy, here's your reward. Continue to vigilantly learn, try to perform some more general tasks, and build the name of our 10th branch into the absolute. Having received the award, our hero was incredibly pleased, because in the ring there were 10,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals, without which it was difficult to develop. As for the Aurora starship, it is located on the space station. Good luck with this Vorley Wolf, I hope you can improve it. Lu Yin hurried to a space station, where he quickly found Aurora's ship in a separate hangar and immediately registered it, thereby tying it to his DNA. Now no one but him can use it. Many of the resources entering the Starry Academy were sponsored by the major forces of the universe. The Aurora spacecraft was no exception. Aurora looked like an ordinary starship, with a diameter of only 3 meters. However, compared to the conventional ship, Aurora had a special compartment called a particle converter. In this compartment, the energy needed to create a protective field and hypergel was collected, and various rare materials were placed in it, which was used to improve the ship. This compartment was the essence of Aurora. It is rumored that the particle converter is an ancient technology that absorbed everything, and the more valuable it and powerful, the faster the changes of the starship occurred. That's why Old Sai described Aurora as a Vorley wolf. Such a ship should be filled with countless expensive materials to improve its characteristics. The young man inspected the ship and noticed that he had factory parts, so he looked like an ordinary starship. Although, one might say, he was even inferior to them, since the ship lost some of the capabilities to install a particle converter. But even if we take the first improved class of Aurora called Iskra, the speed of the starship will be 10 times more than usual. Moreover, the ship will be able to defend itself against the attacks of the Master of Change. Chapter 123. If the next class is Black Hole, then its speed will be 100 times higher than that of the ordinary ship. There were also rumors that the peak of the improvement of Aurora was the Infinity class. It was called so because at this level the ship's hypermixtion was equal to the transition through the wormhole, and he could do it endlessly. Lu Yin touched the starship, feeling a cold and durable surface material. He was glad of his reward, because the price of such a ship was at least 50 billion space coins. Now he can be considered a real rich man. The young man did not plan to leave the academy, so he left the space station and went to the Infinite Rain platform. It is time to reach the fusion sphere. At the top of one of the trees, our hero got the chip of evolution and prepared to use it. Initially, he wanted to get a chip from Qing Yu, but he, unfortunately, was alive, which led to a number of unnecessary incidents. Sitting on a green platform and looking forward to the veil of rain, Lu Yin took a deep breath, cut his finger and pressed it against the chip. The next moment, his whole body was pierced by a strong, but to the devil's familiar pain. The young man faced a real test, as his whole body has undergone the changes necessary to adapt to the universe. The view of our hero was firm. He felt that his power each second increased several times, bringing him closer to a breakthrough in the sphere of the merger. Suddenly, the shirt of Lu Inya broke out because of the runes that flashed on his back. Similar to a large castle. At the moment when the seal appeared, the young man thought that he was about torn apart. He couldn't stand the pressure. The eyes of our hero expanded from bewilderment. The chip of evolution in his hands suddenly broke, and in his head there was a heaviness, and he almost lost consciousness. Who was nearby, Guan Yu frowned, watching what was happening from the young man. Does the seal keep him from breaking? At this time, an old man, dressed in decrepit clothes, came out of the void. He appeared near Lu Yin and pressed his palm to his back. The appalling force instantly filled the entire 10th branch and even broke out, shaking the stars closest to the academy. The stranger suppressed the power of the press, and at the same time pressed into the body of our hero a new chip of evolution. Lu Yin was in a semi-conscious state. He did not expect to fail, and did not understand why it happened. As soon as it seemed to him that nothing could change, the breakthrough suddenly continued, but it was even more difficult than before. His body was burning. Acquired with his teeth, the young man tried to endure the pain so as not to fail in fainting. Although he didn't know what was going on, he didn't want to give up. After the break was over, the old man's eyes darkened, and he sharply pressed his right palm to the upper part of the runic seal on the back of our hero, on which there was a crack. At the moment when she showed up, the sky shuddered. Being in the Desert Hopes, a shocked middle-aged man looked towards the Infinite Rain platform. The old Kai in the treasure pavilion looked the same way. On the territory of the investigation border, the old man opened his eyes and thought about something. A man in the star pavilion turned his head towards a source of strange energy. Guan Yu, who was closest to the epicenter of what is happening, shone. Having lost consciousness after the breakthrough, Lu Yin again saw a jade finger breaking through the void, but this time there was something new. In addition to the finger, behind him he saw a pair of shining eyes like the stars, who looked directly at him. At the same time, the young man himself exuded a similar light, which was a sign of awakening something long-lasting in his body. The old man, dressed in rags, silently watched the changes taking place in our hero. Guan Yu appeared next to him and asked in a swing voice, "Is this an ancient seal?" "Yeah, I only broke her one knot." The man exclaimed, "Only one?" "I've seen this seal, but I don't remember where. It is very old and terrible. How cruel is it to be to put such a stamp on a child?" "What does she do? Guan Yu in love?" "It seals the potential, talent, and body. If from birth he could have unique abilities, then this seal turned him into an ordinary person, and only now the guy will be able to begin to show his true capabilities. But, unfortunately, so far only physical," the old man replied. After a short pause, he, sighing heavily, added, "Breaking the whole seal is very difficult. Last time I went crazy again and almost did not kill him, so I just returned the debt. The chip I gave him is enough for another breakthrough, unless of course this seal appears." When he made it, the old man calmly left. Lu Yin slept all the day. When he came to his senses and opened his eyes, everything around was the same as before, but inside he felt a new renewed power of the fusion sphere. Having squeezed a fist, the young man felt that, in addition, there was something else. For some reason, his physical strength has become much higher. Considering that he just sees himself, since he is not yet accustomed to the new sphere, our hero stood up and sharply noticed the chip of evolution within himself. In confusion, he looked towards the veil of rain and shouted, "Cape Guan Yu, are you here?" From somewhere from the side, there was a voice of a man. "Chip in your body will help you break through again. Go to the Desert Hope, there you can get more benefit in a short time than here." Lu Yin in gratitude was a low worship of the mentor. In scraps of memoirs about the moment of his breakthrough, he seemed to have heard Guan Yu, which means that he somehow helped him. The young man was lucky to have entered the 10th starry sky, otherwise he would no longer be alive. To better understand his new strength, our hero hastened to the transboundary stone. "Hui Bei Yi, 6 victories and 92 defeats." The old man's voice rang at the moment when Lu Yin approached the battle of the test. The man came out of the fog of transboundary stone with a dissatisfied look. The ice beauty entered the radius of the stone and very quickly came out. "Michelle, 13 victories and 56 defeats." The young man was surprised because he was not the only one who progressed quite quickly. Hui Bai Yi increased the number of his victories, as did Michelle. Although in the 10th branch no one taught them, but the Infinite Rain platform, the Hope Desert and Star Pavilion were perfect for diverse training. Our hero passed by Michelle and entered the zone of the cross-border stone in anticipation of his first battle in the sphere of fusion. He hoped that he would not get caught immediately by the heavenly wanderer. The space before him changed dramatically as soon as he touched the stone. Lu Yin was in the clearing. A light breeze dug on it, catching up the intoxicating smell of flowers. Before his eyes there was a figure who immediately attacked him, firing a violet spit substance, similar to a web. It was a gift from heaven. The young man was surprised by this exotic kind of gift. The purple web began to envelop him, but our hero fearlessly rushed to the enemy and, using the flickering of the void, appeared right in front of him and then struck with 6 streams. Since the enemy was also in the sphere of the merger, he was overtaken by an immediate defeat from a powerful blow. Lu Yin was amazed by his new strength. He felt at ease when he used 6 streams. Previously, the young man always felt the return, but now there was not even a slight load. Did this all the power of the breakthrough affect this? Did the sphere of merger improve his body? In addition to physical strength, it also became much faster. Standing under the transboundary stone, our hero was confused. He heard that the sphere of the merger increased the volume of stellar energy and only slightly improved other aspects, but did not increase so much physical body. After thinking about it a little, Lu Yin decided to fight again. In front of him, there was another opponent, a man of the sphere of the merger. Most of the masters in the Battle Kingdom had the sphere of merger, followed by the number of Granius, and the whole other minority belonged to the domain of the heavenly Scathel and the sphere of the Guardian. When the chapters will be released, as well as other information you can find out in my Telegram channel https://t.me/Ra the Fawn. Chapter 124. Lu Yin looked at the enemy in front of him, raised his hand and immediately released 6 streams, which grew into 7, but he did not even feel any load. There was no limit to the surprise of the young man, so he released 8 waves of energy. But he did not stop there, and decided to experience all 9 streams. Eventually, 9 successive powerful strikes hit the mergers, tearing it apart. Our hero was shocked by the terrifying power of 9 stream. The power of skill was even higher than his current star palm. Not surprisingly, Guan Yu's mentor warned him not to use more than 6 streams to the Granny sphere. Based on the power of the waves from the 7th to the 9th, the return from them should be the wildest. Lu Yin was again under the cross-border stone, then looked at his palm. He realized that the 9 streams were not the limit. There was an opportunity to combine the skill with something else, but will his body be able to withstand this? Taking a deep sigh, the eyes of the young man caught fire, and he again went to the Battle Kingdom. The next 4 opponents of our hero were masters of the merger. None of them could stop him until he came across the cultivator of the Granny sphere with the nickname Higher Dean. Faced with him, Lu Yin was not afraid. On the contrary, he was very excited because he wanted to understand his current limits. The culturator with a whistle rushed directly to him, swinging his palm, from which the young man felt danger, so he unenwegs freed the 9 stream. Boom, boom, boom. There were 9 explosions that split the stone arena in 2. Both opponents flew from each other to the edge of the mutilated platform. Our hero felt suffocation. His internal organs were squeezed so much that they almost burst. The strength of the palm of the enemy shocked him to horror, but the higher delusion was also in shock. Without assuming that the merger would block his attack. To finish the battle as soon as possible, he took advantage of the highest technique of the 7th branch, the Paw of the Great Bear. This skill also included 9 waves of energy. If you get them all, the damage will be enormous. Angry snorting, the culturizer again swung his palm. Lu Yin was frightened and hurriedly dodged from the attack, and then with the help of the desertion desert was behind the enemy, and taking advantage of his confusion, intended to strike a fatal blow. But the plans of the young man were not destined to come true, since suddenly there was a powerful pressure. It was a gravity that came from the gift of the heavens of the supreme palm. A powerful 100 times the pressure deprived our hero of the opportunity to do something. The cult turned around and struck the last punch with his palm, blowing up its insides. Once under the transboundary stone, Lu Yin was upset. Who would have thought that his opponent would have such a gift from heaven? If he knew about it, he wouldn't take that risk, but would have come up with another plan. But even despite the defeat, he was pleased with the result. Meanwhile, in the 7th branch of Starry, Dai Ao opened his eyes in which there was still a shock. The master of the merger dispelled my paw of the Big Dipper and forced to use the gift of heaven. This 7th brother. Hopefully, I'll meet him again. Our hero came out of the fog of the cross-border stone and heard the voice of the old man. Lu Yin, 13 victories and 19 defeats. The Michelle, Hui Bai Yi, Zhao Ilan and Lula, who had just turned his eyes on him. 6 wins in a row. You. The young man smiled embarrassed. Lucky. Hui Bai Yi coldly shouted. What are you? Only the guardians are given. Our hero frowned. Follow your tone. Who are you to answer you? What have you said? The man smiled angry. Lu Yin threatened. Do you want me to beat you? Hui Bai Yi in response chuckled. Apparently, you somehow choose weak opponents, right? The mentor sitting next to him suddenly said, the rules of the fighting kingdom cannot be influenced. I still do not believe that some cultivator from the outer universe was able to win 6 victories in a row, when even we can't. Angry man shouted. Michelle frowned. Lulu was thinking about something. Our hero laughed and turned to the old man. Can we exchange a couple of blows with him? The teacher nodded. Just do not arrange a pogrom here. The young man grinned, looking at the arrogant Hui Bai Yi. Don't worry, it'll take a couple of seconds. The man continued to look at Lu Yin with his icy eyes. Now I will show you that even if you have reached the sphere of the merger, you are nothing before the power of the Bai Yi clan. The boy raised his hand. Come, show me the strength of the so-called Bai Yi clan. Hui Bai Yi was enraged because he felt contempt in the guy's voice. Some kind of brazen of the outer universe dare to look down on his clan. He couldn't forgive that. The figure of the man disappeared abruptly, and when he appeared in front of our hero, he shouted loudly, directing a point finger at him. The spiritual finger of White Knight. Suddenly, a ghost finger appeared directly above Lu Yin, from which he felt a strange feeling of emptiness. If a man had a soul, then this blow was definitely directed at it. The combat skills of the Bai Yi family were astonishing, but this young man was not afraid. Raising his palm, he grabbed the enemy's finger and squeezed him. The sound of cod was heard in the space, and with it the cry of pain from Hui Bai Yi, who crumbled to his knees to the ground and looked at our hero with a shocked look. Not only him, but also Michelle and the rest were shocked by the result of a lightning-fast battle. Although the man was only in the sphere of the guard, he was stronger by force of many cultivators of the merger. Moreover, the combat skills of the Bai Yi clan were unparalleled, but Lu Yin very easily dealt with him. The young man looked at the defeated enemy with a smile. He was already ready for spiritual attacks, as he even owned one of them. In addition, Hui Bai Yi was only in the sphere of the guard. I said, I will understand in a couple of seconds. What nonsense, did not affect you at all my combat skill. Why? Our hero squeezed the man's hand sharply, breaking the other 4 fingers. I warned you, you have no right to ask me questions. Hui Bai Yi angrily cried out from pain and anger, but could not do anything else. After dealing with him, Lu Yin looked at Michelle. Do you also want to fight? The girl thought about something, turned around and left. Zhao Ilan, who stood on the sidelines, initially did not take into account the young man, but now began to look at him in a different way. His power suddenly turned out to be so huge that he did not know how to describe it. Now it is clear why he managed to win first 3 victories in a row, and then 6. The guy did not want to stay here and hurriedly left, as if he wanted to do something. The man from the Bai Yi clan also left, immersed in his thoughts. Our hero thought he had pushed them to take decisive action. As a result, only Lu Yin and Lulu remained near the cross-border stone. The girl looked at the young man with ardent eyes, and he was well aware that her hands itch. You've changed a lot since then. Let's fight. Battles are prohibited here. And we will not fight, just compare strength. The green-haired beauty licked her lips, anticipating their skirmish. Compare the strength. Come on, our hero seemed good to make this idea. Lula pulled out his snow-white hand. The rules are simple. You need to attract an opponent to you. Whoever takes a step will lose. Lu Yin interestedly squeezed the soft palm of the girl. Let's start. All right. 1, 2, they started. The voice of the young man heard, and both simultaneously pulled on each other. At the same moment, the earth under them cracked, although they used only physical strength. Chapter 125. Our hero strained. Lulu's pure physical strength was incredible. Competing with her, it seemed to him that the girl was made of steel. The bulge force tried to draw him to himself. But the upheaval of Lu Yin was not comparable to the shock of Lulu, because she is from the Mobius family, which is endowed with divine power. The girl had not yet met anyone who was physically stronger than her, but at that moment, she felt insurmountable power in the palm of the young man. Lulu believed that such a force could not be obtained in a simple way. It is probably a gift of heaven. The next moment, the gust of wind suddenly divided them, after which the voice of the old man was heard. I warned, do not arrange a pogrom here, you will only see how many herbs were killed. Our hero and his green-haired girlfriend looked at the ground, seeing a lot of cracks. I'm sorry, Mentor, said Lu Yin. The girl continued to look at him in a stupor. What are you looking at? We have not yet determined the winner, so you can find another place, the young man suggested. Lulu shook her head and inflated her lips. It's not interesting, play alone now. Our hero confused her figure and eventually remained himself. Not knowing what else to do, he went back to the Battle Kingdom. After he disappeared, the old man's brooding eyes opened. Everyone in the Mobius family is born with divine physical strength, but this boy seemed to spit on it. I can't define his race. He looks like he's an ordinary person, but then how? Maybe it's because of Lu's name. Meanwhile, Michelle was walking along the ruins of the 10th branch. With the exception of a small part of the academy, all the other places here were like the abandoned battlefield. The girl looked into the sky and thought. Only a few minutes later, she resolutely said, I'm sorry, sister, but I will use my gift. In front of the Star Pavilion, Zia Lo meditated when he suddenly received a message from Lulu. Looking at him, he was very surprised. This is a change. Apparently you need to work even more, otherwise I will be behind all. Behind the dark green forest of the Infinite Rain platform was a broken mountain range, which seemed to be the leg of the giant. Silver stood on the hill and looked at the ruins. One devastation, the head of the 10th branch went mad and destroyed almost the entire academy. There is nothing left. The countless combat skills and treasures collected since ancient times burned to the ground. What a pity. No one would have believed it, but you can't run away from the truth. Lu Yin stayed at the border of the tests for quite a long time, then went to the Desert of Hope. The mentor of Guan Yu told him that there he would be more useful than if he remained on the Infinite Rain platform. When the young man left the cross-border stone, he already had 31 victories and 46 defeats. His result was the best among all first-year students, but no one knew it. Coming out of the area of movement, our hero examined the endless desert. He planned to fight several more times in the Battle Kingdom, but the last fight caused him a shock. The enemy, who also possesses the sphere of merger, defeated him with what he has not yet encountered, but heard, namely, the fighting spirit. Any self-respecting master must have a fighting spirit. What was he? The force capable of defending, attacking, destroying the limits, crushing the skis, and even tearing the stars. Such was a generally accepted description of the fighting spirit, but Lu Yin has not yet understood how these words could help to know him. After he lost his memory, he was saved by a family that the young man now considered his own. After having been in the inner universe for a while, he heard several times about the fighting spirit. Some described it as a force capable of creating peace. At that time, our hero sought to comprehend him, but unfortunately, for various reasons could not cultivate, and only on Earth began his way. After almost 100 fights in the Battle Kingdom, The last opponent of Lu Yin was the owner of the morale. This spirit seemed to him something that was very well suited to his preferences, so the young man could not wait to master it. Our hero did not know whether there was something in the 10th branch that could help him master the morale. He just decided to come to the Desert Hope and see what this place was. Stepping on hot sand, Lu Yin began his new journey. Having removed his shirt, he squatted and took a handful of sand, not at all like the usual. The sand here was too strong. Apparently this place is suitable for the development of the body, the young man suggested, slowly stepping into the desert. Before the competition, there were less than a month left for the first-year competition. Everyone was preparing for this day. Somewhere in the dark starry sky from the wormhole flew a huge spaceship and flew towards the sector of the blue wave. On this ship was clearly visible the family coat of arms of the Linman family, similar to dark blue notes. The Linman clan was very famous in the inner universe, and the people called the Holy Earth of Women, since there was not a single man in him. If the dark cosmos gave a sense of loneliness, then the Linman family with its beauty gave the universe a shade of tenderness. Inside the huge spaceship, a beautiful girl with dark blue hair up to the waist asked, "How many more?" Next to her, someone hastily replied, "A young chapter, we will reach the 10th branch in about an hour." The girls smiled. "I hope the 10th branch will not let me down and help to awaken my morale." "Miss, your visit to the 10th branch attracted a lot of attention. Large Bumps contacted the clan and asked to find out his purpose." The beauty frowning of the eyebrows. "These gossip irritate, tired already." "Young chapter, you are the most outstanding descendant of the Lyman family of our time. The potential you are superior to previous generations. You can rightly be considered the brightest star of the inner universe. Because of this, everyone is concerned about any of your actions, and it simply will not be possible to avoid such close attention." The girl, because of these words, hurt her head, but then suddenly she remembered something and with a mischievous smile said, "Send them a message. Write that I went to the 10th branch to find my lover." As soon as her words were heard around the control room, everyone, including the pilot, stunned sharply. "Miss, you don't have to say such stupid things. It's going to bring trouble to the top 10. Those madmen who persecutes you can destroy the academy," someone immediately exclaimed. "All right, I will not cause unnecessary problems. Send a message that if they so want to meet me, then let them come to the 10th branch, and also write that I'm going there for training in the well-known pest of hope." Hearing her, everyone sighed with relief. Yes, young head. No one dared to underestimate the influence of the Lyman clan due to the fact that very talented girls appeared in it. Taking even the worst of the Linman family to marry is like succeeding in life. Therefore, the 10th branch could really destroy the most distraught admirers of the young head. Gossip and rumors quickly spread, but the girl did not even realize that the words spoken to her jokingly would turn into a big problem for the 10th branch. At the same time, Hart Busa stood in the dark forest of the 5th starry sky near the cross-border stone, all in the light of anger. "Hart, congratulations. You have completed the highest mission of the Guardian." "Congratulations, Master Hart." "Congratulations." The guy snorted, irritated. "Too late, I was ahead." The people around they fell sharply. By the way, the Master Hart, the young head of the Lyman clan, CIUA, for whom you asked to be followed, recently published that she was going to the Desert of Hope, located in the 10th star of heaven. Chapter 126. Hartbus was about to leave as he turned abruptly and asked, "The 10th branch, I remember, that's where someone completed the highest task of the Guardian." Someone next to the guy immediately said, "Assist Hart, you will not worry about it, the person, apparently just lucky, you are still much stronger." The guy snorted. "In the Battle Kingdom there is no such thing as luck, only force is effective there. Quickly prepare me for the ship, I'm going to the 10th branch." A group of people was surprised. "Master, but we are told not to leave the 5th branch." "I have already informed the mentor that my brother asked me to go to the 10th branch. He has long demanded that I take Zai Yue's wife to get us the support of the Lyman clan. I finally got the opportunity to do this task. We know, young master. Somewhere in the 8th branch, sitting near a burrowing magma, a person sharply opened his eyes. Lang, walk into the 10th sky. You need to return Xi Yue. She should not stay there. Also say that if she needs the desert of hope so much, let him wait a little. When I capture the 10th branch and take it to the flame domain, she can be there as much as she wants. Outside the region with the burring magma stood a master of the sphere of the merger, from which came the frightening aura of stellar energy. It was Lank, the second best young cultivator of the flame domain. On the boundless field of the 9th starry sky, there was a loud voice. Bon, go to the 10th branch and find out if there is someone there who can threaten our 9th branch. The young man sharply opened his eyes, in which the black flame almost immediately went out. Yes, mentor. In the 10th branch there were 2 brothers, De Pao and Xiao Pao, both at this point accidentally crossed, as if they had agreed on it in advance. Younger brother, honestly, I've been treating you badly lately. Yes, Pao looked at the guy very seriously. Xiao Pao thought about it and said, yes. The man's face pulled from the feeling of awkwardness. Well, I will be better off with you. Great brother, stop talking nonsense. You just want me to lend you money again for the new Zai Yue single, am I right? The guy asked, having hanged one of the eyebrows. Since you already know, I will not hide. I really like Zai Yue's songs, so fraternally borrow money. Xiao Pao immediately refused. No, I also like her songs, and I plan to buy her new single. Shit, why didn't you say right away? Then let me listen later. For nothing, Zai Yue's songs are like a wife for me, and I will not share my harem. Damn Buckthorn, I've always hated this trait in you. I give you a tooth, even if I'm dying of hunger. You're not going to share with me and the rice. Oof. It will be difficult for me to part with you, but I will withstand it. But then no one will beg for money. Let your brother just listen to the music. In return, I will not fight you for the status of the head of purgatory. No, and do not raise this topic in such a dispute. At this point, the brothers' terminals rang and both looked at the notification at the same time, but could not believe him. Xiu would come to us. Is it true or a lie? De Pao exclaimed agitated. We will have see you herself. Xiao Pao was also excited and continued to mutter under his nose without tinnital. She will come. I want her signature and photo. I want to. But suddenly their excitement interrupted a loud roar. You, 2 snotters, immediately go to greet the guest. The 2 brothers acrobatus quickly replied. It will be performed, Mentor Shahai. Half an hour later, the 10th branch appeared on the space station of the Lyman clan. De Pao and Xiao Pao were agitated looking at the spaceship. They were longtime fans of Zai Yue, but never thought they would see her live one day. Soon a group of female soldiers of the Lyman family came out of the ship, and behind them are several proud masters of the 8th star sky, who were ordered to protect the girl from such obsessive fans, such as these 2 concerned brothers, whose eyes glowed like street lights. At first glance, one could confidently say that nothing good should be expected from them. Who are you? Were there not more cultured students to meet the young head of Zai Yue? Yes, Pao stepped forward and looked at the exit from the ship, not paying attention to others at all. We are the most decent, and where is the younger sister of Cue? The cultivator frowned and stood right in the face of the man. Watch your tongue. You are just students of an abandoned academy and have no right to call the young chapter a younger sister. De Pao snorted, but did not take the words of the guy to heart. At this point, a beautiful girl with blue hairs long to the waist and bright eyes descended from the ship, which fascinated people's hearts. Even if she is in decline, it's still one of the 10 branches of the Star Sky Academy. Zai Yue is happy to welcome undergraduates. The Pao brothers stared at the beauty, and from her delicate appearance with a melodic voice, intoxicated. After a couple of moments, De Pao tried to pull himself together, coughed, and said, Sister Ciee, my name is De Pao. You can call me the older brother Pao. Xiao Pao also introduced himself. My name is Xiao Pao, but not to get confused, Sister Ziyue. You can call me the younger brother of Pao. The others were out of luck. What are these strange names and names? What's the hell with a hot cannon and a little hot gun? Some kind of perversion? Did they decide to tease the young chapter like that? 1. The girl herself was also surprised at the first, but after that caused her anger, but she still forced herself to smile and pretend that it did not hurt her. I will just call you older brothers. As the younger sister will be comfortable, I don't care much. I want to take a picture with you and make a short video, and even better it would be to have dinner in the moment. Before De Pao managed to agree, he was interrupted by a middle-aged woman that she was also very beautiful. You too. Do not bother the young chapter. She came here for the Order of the Desert Hope and the rest does not care about it. Both brothers were disappointed. Ziyue's view ran through the space station. There were rumors that the 10th branch was driven into the outer universe and all the students except the 2 left it. The Pao brothers had nowhere to go, so they stayed here. It was because of them that the 10th Starry of Heaven was not abolished. The girl would not go to the academy at such a time, if not for the fact that among the people of the domain of the flame, with whom she did not want to see, there were those who wanted to capture the 10th branch. Older brothers, and how many new students did the academy score? Asked the beauty. Xiao Pao replied, 12. Behind Ziyue, one of the young masters mockingly said, the 10th branch has fallen below nowhere. It's no wonder they want to cover you. You're just embarrassing the name of the Starry Sky Academy. The guy looked at him. The motto of our branch is quality above all. It doesn't matter how many students there are, we're not some kind of dormitory, but an elite academy. What did you say? The girl raised her hand and threatened her subordinate with her gaze. Don't rude, otherwise I will take it back. The cultivator lowered his head and embarrassedly replied, yes, young chapter. Then the beauty said, great brothers, take me to the mentors. De Pao shook his head. We don't have much rules. Mentor Shahai has already informed me that you want to visit the Desert Hope and study there. Follow us, we'll take you. Xi Yue was glad that she would not have to go through many formalities. Thank you, older brothers, then we'll go there faster. 2 immediately headed forward, but before that they said that only a few people could accompany it. The girl did not object. She initially was not going to take with her so many people. Her older ones imposed it. The group arrived at the Wasteland Hope, where he coincided with 2 people. Michelle was just going to enter, but Hughes was coming out. Hughes from the very receipt went here, and over the past time has achieved good results that he planned to try out in the Battle Kingdom. The appearance of 2 students attracted the attention of Xi Yue. The beauty looked at the walking guy, and then at the girl and smiled a little. Who would know that I would see the demon of the Red Lotus? Glad to meet. Michelle at first sight understood who was in front of her. Mutually. I heard you join the advice of the 10 sentences. It must be good when a strong older sister and all the roads are open. Ziyue laughed, but in her melodic voice flashed a trace of contempt. The girl asked indifferently, something does not suit you. No, since the advice of the 10 sentences has taken you, then their decision is justified. Michelle said nothing else. Yes, Pao and Xiao Pao looked around, guessing that the 2 beauties had already seen before and apparently did not get along. A young chapter, maybe I can teach her a lesson, one of the bodyguards whispered. Ziyue cold snorted. Is she? Haven't you heard of the Red Lotus demon? No, people were confused, but one of them suddenly seemed to remember something, looked at Michelle's face and shut up. Hughes approached the array of movement. Please step back. Xi Yue examined the guy. He was the most ordinary and did not stand out. She did not want to spend time on him, so she went further, continuing to look at the younger sister of Mila. It was followed by bodyguards, but one of them stopped right at the threshold of the array. This guy did not like the 10th branch and how they were accepted, so he wanted to humiliate the local students in any way. De Pao and Xiao Pao also went forward. They did not help Hughes, although they saw that he was deliberately provoked. The path of cultivation is thorny and lonely. A person must have tremendous courage to pass it, otherwise it will never be possible to reach high. As a result, Hughes was face to face with a guy and already less politely said, "Get out of the way." The bodyguard with disgust snorted. "You, ants, are lucky that you got at least in the 10th branch. Remember, I'm from the Flame Domain. When you see me, you have to be respectful." The guy frowned for his head. He had already encountered the domain of the flame, because it was one of 3 forces that she tried to prevent the 10th Star Sky from recruiting students. That's just their main goal was not to annoy the 10th branch. They wanted to get access to the 3 spheres and 6 laps. 1 pow in slang Chinese means a hot cannon, because one of the values means to roast and the other is a gun. It is used in a perverted context, which I think it is clear. It follows from this that their names and surnames mean. Yes pow equals large hot cannon, Zio pow equals a small hot cannon. Chapter 127. What's next? Hughes asked in a low voice. In the eyes of the guy flashed the ice light, and he took a step forward, facing a shoulder student of the 10th branch. Both stubborn masters collided at the entrance to the array of displacement, which was a small cotton. Hughes pushed 2 steps, and the bodyguard was 1 step, after which the guy smiled disparagingly and went forward. But this did not end. Hughes grabbed the shoulder of the cultivator, who immediately spit out powerful stellar energy, enveloping his body with a fiery aura, and then took up the handle of his sword, releasing a blood-red blade of a shackles. At this point, Zio Pow approached them and separated both as easily as 2 young children that they started a fight. "I'm sorry, but it's forbidden to fight here." The bodyguard tried to escape from the accumulus of the younger Pow, but his hand was like a mountain. The inner guy was shocked, because he did not imagine that one of the remaining students of the 10th Academy will be so strong. Everyone saw it and was surprised by what was happening, but Zai Yue and Michelle stood further from the array, drilling each other with eyes. At some point, the arriving beauty opened her mouth and her sweet singing echoed the district. It was obvious to everyone that the girl's singing was beautiful, but De Pao and Zio Pao looked alert. It was a combat skill she inherited in the 8th Starry, called the Battle Trance. Among the 10 branches, only the 8th had the skills of combat singing and music, so all members of the Limnan clan studied there. Zai Yue is a strong master. She already has 30 victories in the Battle Kingdom. Michelle is much worse than she is. "Brother, we should stop them," said Zio Pao. The man shook his head. At this moment, he did not laugh as before, but was completely serious. "Let's see if everything is bad, then the mentor Sha Hai will decide what to do with it." The people following the young head of the Lyman clan were proud of their mistress. The girl was not just some famous singer, she was also an excellent cultivator in the merger. Hughes was shocked to the most, listening to a beautiful song that gradually changed even the desert space. Zai Yue was much stronger than him, as well as the domain masters who followed her. Such was the power of the students of the Starry Academy, any of them could easily shake the outer universe. Michelle frowning, because the singing was directed at her and shook the internal organs. The severe dizziness and illusions that filled her mind tried to take control of it, but the next moment, the eyes of the beauty flashed with a bright red light, and under her feet there was a purple flower of the lotus. A bright red light for a moment blinded and shocked everyone, and also destroyed a combat song that affected the souls of people. Is it a gift of heaven? Hughes looked at the lotus in interest. The girl, like her sister, Mila, had this strange red flower, and it was thanks to him that both sisters stood out so strongly from many others. When the spiritual influence of the song was destroyed, there was only a pure sound. Xi Yue masterfully managed it, and having reinforced it 3 times, brought him down on his rival. Michelle's red pupils continued to shine. At the same time, a purple lotus under her feet bloomed, and no one could stop it. At the moment when the tense atmosphere had to escalate into a bloody battle, a loud, grumpy voice was heard through the space. "Well, what makes you make fun? Why are you disturbing my sleep?" 3 times reinforced, Ziyue's sound blow, and the Red Lotus Michelle were immediately swept away by the wind that appeared from the wind, which threw the girls in different directions. Both beauties turned a little pale and hurriedly bowed. "Excuse me, Mentor, we will no longer be." "Yes," Pao immediately came closer to them and said, "Jurgalian sisters, Mentor Shahai is not very good. I hope you will not continue the fight." Both looked at each other, after which Ziyue said, "Mitchell, you are worthy of your sister Mila. You are very talented." The girl looked at her indifferently and went to the east of the sandy sea. The beautiful singer also did not care. She smiled a little bit at the eldest Pao and asked her bodyguards to return to the station. "I'm going to train here. I think I will finish in a few days." "Miss Ziyue, isn't it too dangerous?" the guy from the Flame Domain asked worriedly. "There's a Mentor Shahai here. No one can hurt me. Don't behave like that." "Let's stay here near the array," one of the bodyguards suggested. The girl did not say anything. Da Pao and Zio Pao nodded and went to the west of the sandy sea. Hughes was still standing in his heart and thinking about something. A small battle between the two beauties made him realize that he was still far behind. Junior Pao patted him on the shoulder. "Come, don't think too much. You're much stronger than when you first entered the academy. If you try again, you will not be as good as those in the future." The guy nodded and left with two brothers. The sand sea of the Desert Hopes was endless. Ziyue did not fly, but just walked away, going further and further away. In an hour, feeling the hardness of the sand under her feet, the girl's gaze ran through the district. "I hope here I can comprehend the morale and really stand on top of the 8th branch, or even become a mentor of one of the regions of the academy." Having S-routed, the beauty remembered the advice of one of the students of the 10th branch that they moved to the 8th. To achieve better progress, you need to go down. The next point, Ziyue punched his palm on the ground and found that the loose, impassable surface was not at all strong. In just one blow, she made a hole a depth of meter. The girl quickly got up into the pit and began to sink gradually in the sand. The deeper it was immersed, the stronger the pain of friction, which was very useful for quenching the body. Ziyue was ready for it. When the girl's body went a little lower, she was subjected to mysterious pressure. It did not affect the physical body, but oppressed the soul, because of which she began to experience slight suffocation. But this kind of pressure was not enough to form a fighting spirit, and the beauty understood this. To master the fighting spirit, you need to pass inhuman trials. From the 1st to the 9th branch of the academy had similar places, but only in the Desert Hopes of the training gave the best result, since it was possible to descend quite low, where the spiritual pressure went off. 5 meters, 10, 15. At the moment when Xiyue reached a depth of 20 meters, her legs rested on the floor. The girl's head was slightly dizzying, and on her crystal-clear skin was blood. This distance was not bad for training, but it was still not enough to form a morale. Therefore, the beauty gritted her teeth and pushed the floor, abruptly falling into the void, but suddenly faced something soft. In bewilderment, Ziyue looked at what it could be, and in the stupor I met a couple of eyes who looked at her from the bottom upstairs, as she was sitting on the human chest. Lu Yin slept relaxed in this open area between the two levels of the desert, not suggesting to face anyone. Ever since he entered the Desert of Hope, the young man found that the initial level was useless for him, so he began to delve deeper and quickly got here. Here our hero felt a good atmosphere for training, and withstanding the pressure, just fell asleep. And suddenly, something soft fell right at him. Opening his eyes, Lu Yin saw the beauty and felt an intoxicating smell, only after met a couple of bright eyes. "Listen!" Ziyue's face turned pale. She screamed angularly and hit the young man with her palm. Our hero grabbed her by the waist and knocked her aside to avoid a blow. "Don't shout." The girl was furious and began to spray with her legs, trying to get rid of the man's hands. Lu Yin hastily squeezed her snow-white hips in the vise so that she would not get anywhere he should, and then in a formidable tone said, "A woman, I first came here." Xiyue felt the ardent palms on her hips, which angered even more. "Let me go, libertine." The young man let her go and went back. "No lie, I'm the first one, and you fell right on me." The girl trembled with anger. She is the young head of the Lyman clan, clean and innocent, has never been so close to a man, and even more so no one has ever punched her. From overflowing rage, the beauty flew off the coils. "I will kill you." With the cry, Zayue released a sound wave towards our hero. It was that 3 times reinforced sound blow, which she could not demonstrate to Michelle. Lu Yin was wary. This stranger was quite strong, so he subconsciously activated the Zivez technique, thereby weakening the impact of the sound, and then sharply headed towards it. In a fit of anger, the girl wanted to kill a guy, but he suddenly grabbed her hand, why she immediately shouted angrily, "Lattice, you deserve to die." The next moment, the beauty sang a song, similar to an avalanche descending from the mountain. She has never used the Song of the Dark Steppe against anyone, a combat skill that excited the desert surrounding. The mentor of Sha Hai, who was in the depths of the desert, was surprised. She has a fairly strong martial skill of a musical type, worthy of being an outstanding descendant of the Lingman clan. With such talent, she will soon be able to push someone out of the starry sky rating. Our hero faced powerful pressure, which caused him back. Blood flowed from the young man's ears, and at some point began to appear as if his brain was about to explode. Chapter 128. "Shut up!" Lu Yin cried, releasing the 9 streams that helped him break through the waves of combat singing and close Zayue's mouth. The girl stunned, looking at the palm of the young man. The anger inside of her became so large that she was ready to explode. Our hero exhaled with relief and looked at the singer. He had to admit that she is quite strong and clearly not a simple student. "I repeat again, I was already here, and you came later and even fell on me." Xi Yue wanted to remove Lu Yin's hand, but now in the physical force even Lulu could not do anything to him. What can we say about her? "Do you understand what I said? I'm not going to hang out with you if you keep acting so rude." The young man threatened and slowly began to give up his hand. The girl looked at him angrily when she grabbed him by the palm of her hand and bit her. Our hero felt a lot of pain and hurriedly stretched out his hand. "Are you a dog?" The beauty silently swung at him with her fist. She could not calm down, since for the first time from birth she faced a situation when she was humiliated, and she could not defeat the offender. Lu Yin grabbed the fist Zayue and attracted her to himself. He was immediately hit in the nose by a pleasant aroma that made his heart flinch. Because of this, he did not notice that while they fought, then gradually descended down. The Desert of Hope was like a tower that went deep underground and divided into 7 tiers. The first tier, including the peripheral zone, was only 30 meters thick. At the moment when the young man, hugging the beauty, fell with her on the territory of the second tier, they were hit by a powerful spiritual pressure. The girl could not endure him and almost immediately lost consciousness from pain. Fortunately, the mind of our hero, though in turmoil, but withstood the power of the desert. Somewhere deep in the Desert Hopes, the mentor Sha Hai was amazed. They fell on the second tier. The most coveted flower of the 8th branch was stolen by the snot of my 10th branch. Haha, if the old people out of the 8th learned about it, then, most likely, would have exploded with anger. The space of the second tier was dim. Lu Yin rubbed whiskey, feeling terrifying pressure, and then looked at the unconscious Zayue. The young man did not know who she was and how she ended up here, but most of all he was worried now that De Pao had not previously been told about another level of the standard of hope. The head of our hero was dimming, and in his eyes it was dull. Suddenly there was a whistling sound, similar to a gust of wind. "Where is the wind from this place?" Lu Yin looked around, when suddenly he abruptly hugged the beauty and turned around, covering the girl with himself. The next moment, a powerful airflow struck them, tearing the young man's shirt to pieces and leaving a lot of blood cuts on his body. It was not the wind, but some gust of knives. Our hero, breathing heavily, hurriedly removed the medicine from the spatial ring and poured it on his back. Fortunately, His body has recently become an order of magnitude stronger, so only his skin was damaged. If this stream was encountered by Zai Yue, she would probably be dismembered. 10 minutes later, another whistle was heard, from which the head of Lu Ini knew Morella. That damn killer wind is back. Without thinking about anything, the young man again covered the girl. Faced with a new impulse, our hero felt the heaviness and boundless loneliness, although he was next to the beauty. Sometimes the internal pressure exerted on a person was harder to withstand than external pressure. It was in this position that Lu Yin was now, and only his determination did not allow him to give up and lose consciousness. The wind came and left. The young man realized that this could not continue. It was necessary to leave, but how? He tried to take off, but as soon as he was in the air, he was bowled to the side, tearing the remaining clothes on him. Hastily putting on at least something to cover the shame, our hero was at a dead end. At the same time, somewhere in the 10th branch, De Pao slapped himself on his forehead. Damn, I forgot to tell Zai Yue's younger sister not to come below the first till. It would be bad if she falls on the second. Zai Pao waved his hand. No, there's Shanghai's mentor, he won't hurt her. Of course, Si Yue's younger sister is smart. If anything, ask for help. Haha, okay, let's go listen to her songs. They're over. After some time, the girls trembled and slowly opened her eyes. It was dark around, but she vaguely saw the figure that she hugged her body. This abruptly sobered the beauty, and she reflexively pushed her away. Lu Yin faded to the side, but at the same second the whistle of the wind. The young man immediately jumped up and quickly grabbed Xi Yue in the cape. Be careful. The girls shouted and pushed him again. Let me go, libertine. In the same second, a strong impulse swept through them with a characteristic ringing, amazed by the beauty. Its upper part of the garment was instantly torn, opening a view of a bloody but beautiful body. However, the young man was not before. He wrapped it around and covered with himself. Because of the wind, the body of Zai Yue shook so much that it was torn out with blood. She crumbled back in distrust where the stream rushed. What was it just? Now there will be another, but his strength will be focused on your soul. Get ready. In the ears of the girl there was the voice of our hero. The confusedly beauty was confused, when suddenly another gust of wind struck them. But as the guy said, he affected not the physical body, but his soul, and so much that she almost lost consciousness again. Lu Yin also felt bad, but still held on. A powerful stream quickly passed by, which allowed Xi Yue to take a breath. The young man exhaled. Fa tilde, we have a little time. The girl was breathing heavily, feeling very bad and trembled slightly because of ice sweat. Moving away from the guy's chest, she looked around and eventually asked, Who are you? Student of the 10th Starry Sky, Lu Yin. He's a student of the 10th branch. At this moment, the beauty remembered that she had previously clutched with him and even used the song of the dark step, but lost. Is there a student in this abandoned academy who is even stronger than Michelle? The young man looked at her, although the light was dull, but he could clearly see her beauty and embarrassment. Who are you? It's none of your business. A blunder. A litter. Stop talking nonsense. You're a mess. You're falling right on me. Must have wanted to take it by force while I was asleep, right? He asked. Xi Yue outlined her mouth, but she didn't think she was answering, so she just snapped. After a while, the girl asked, Where are we? I don't know. You're a 10th Wig student. How can you not know? I'm actually a first-year student, and I don't know about the academy more than you. The beauty was surprised. Are you a first-year student? Can't you see it from me? Zai Yue previously thought for some reason that he was an undergraduate, but if you think logically, until the recent recruitment of students at the academy were only Da Pao and Zai Pao. Therefore, this libertine that defeated her was indeed a freshman. The girl wanted to understand his origin, but suddenly remembered that she had already heard the name of Lu Yin. A man with the same name performed the highest task of the priest. What are you looking at so closely? Again, you're harassing. The young man was on his guard. The beauty rolled her eyes and looked up. How deep are we underground? Our hero shrugged his shoulders and looked at his terminal. It's been 7 hours since they fell. On average, every 10 minutes arrived 2 gusts of wind. One caused damage to the body and the other, the soul. Zai Yue understood that she was in the west and thought that it was worth calling the Master Sha Hai to the rescue, but suddenly remembered the legend of the Desert Hope. The desert was one of the holy places for the cultivation of the fighting spirit. It was very difficult to nurture such a force, but here, experiencing the oppression of the surrounding space both on the soul and on the body, there was a high probability of finding what she came here for. To understand the morale, you need to focus on training. The only problem is this mess. The girl looked at Lu Yin and snorted, a libertine. The young man lost his job because he was the victim. Although he was partly now using the situation, silly and pleasantly smelling the body of the beauty, but being in such a dangerous place under spiritual pressure, to think about something other than survival, our hero could not. "Hit away from me," said Zai Yu, coldly, and pulled away from Lu Yin, covering her upper body with her hands. The boy raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure?" The girl was angry and intended to say something, when suddenly she remembered the gusts of the wind. If it weren't for the guy protecting her, she'd probably be seriously injured. For this, the beauty was grateful to him, but she did not express her gratitude to the libertarian. At this time, a whistling sound was heard. Lu Yin immediately strained. "The flow is approaching. Will you withstand it yourself?" Zai Yue gritted her teeth and, overpowering herself, crawled to him. The young man shook his head and tried to wrap her around her hands, but she did not give. At the next moment, the gust of the wind swept through the back of our hero, leaving several scratches on it. The girl, even though she did not take a direct blow, but her defenseless hands collided with a stream that easily cut her snow-white skin. Lu Yin complained about her and hugged her, which is why the eyes of the beauty immediately expanded and she cried out, "A libertine, let me go." The young man was dissatisfied with her crying. "Enough to call me that. I'm Lu Yin, or you can call me seventh brother." Zai Yue was furious and angrily hit the guy with her palm. The young man was thrown aside, and at the same time they were overtaken by a second gust of wind. Angry Girl openly encountered him and he threw her away, but his main strength fell on her soul, because of which she lost consciousness. The face of our hero paled every time he had to endure the oppressive wind, but at the same time, a transparent energy began to form on the surface of his body, which he had not yet noticed. Lu Yin, suffocating, threw a look at the beauty that fell fainted and snorted angry. She asked. 5 hours later, Zai Yue came to her senses for the second time, rubbed her forehead, and suddenly remembered something. The girl hurriedly checked her body and, making sure that everything remained in her places, sighed lightly. "Hey, woman, how do you know that? Do you really think I'm a libertine? Puff, even if I were, your runway one wouldn't have excited me," said our hero enthusiastically. The runway in slang Chinese is used as a curse of the female breast, the same as we have an expression, a ironed braiding board. Chapter 129. Zai Yue looked at the young man angrily. What kind of nonsense he carries? What the hell is the runway? She is clearly more. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? The girl turned away from him and inflated. Lu Yin realized that he overstepped his sting, but did not apologize. In the end, Zai Yue behaved too self-confident, although she was inferior to the beauty of Bai Zhu, Michelle temperament, the seduction of Mila, and the innocence of Coco. How did she dare to behave like a queen? The only thing a young man could praise her is for quite unique combat skills. The girl sang and attacked at the same time, which he encountered for the first time. The beauty looked at her broken personal terminal, which most likely was damaged when she fell, then again threw an oblique look at our hero. She wanted to stay away from the guy, but could not withstand the gusts of the wind without him, which put her, the young head of the Linman clan, in an awkward situation. Thinking about what to do, Zai Yue asked, "When will a new stream appear?" "In a minute," replied Lu Yin carelessly. The girl frowned. I'm not kidding, let's be more serious. Where do you see me joking? The beauty hurriedly got a special ring, put it on her finger, and her body immediately clothed in armor. The young man questioned it. He had not previously thought about whether it makes sense to use external power here. Before our hero managed to brains it, a powerful wind blew. Zai Yue hoped to defend herself in the armor of the merger, but the reality turned out to be cruel. The flow cut off its armor and all the remaining clothes. Lu Yin, at the last second, managed to pull the girl to himself and protect her in his arms. When the gust of wind rushed past them, the beauty blurred out, "Turn away, do not look at me." "Turn your own back." "No." "Then why should I listen to you?" "I'll pay you." As soon as the young man heard the word wake, he immediately turned around. Zai Yue was convinced that he did not peep, hurriedly stood up and put on a new set of clothes, and only then was able to take a breath. "Are you done?" asked our hero. "Yes." "Then get ready. Now there will be a spiritual wave." The girl's eye became solid when she looked into a dark distance of the deserted earth. A couple of seconds later, they were hit by a powerful spiritual pressure, from which the beauty again almost fainted, but fortunately she withstood, and then turned to Lu and Yu and was surprised. The morale. They fell here 12 hours ago, during which time almost 150 gusts of wind swept past them, but the young man continued to stay awake. At what point did this haze begin to form around him? Our hero was puzzled by the cry of Zai Yue, only then looked at himself in wastiness. Is this a morale? Seeing faded smoke around his body, Lu Yin thought. He did not expect that he accidentally acquired a fighting spirit, because he was considered the highest force in the inner universe. Although the young man hoped that with the help of the desert hopes would take possession of him, he had no intention of thinking that it would happen so fast. The girl was shocked. The morale is a force equated to the highest in the universe, along with the gift of heaven and similar abilities. Even in its 8th branch, there were no more than 10 owners of morale. Boom. Our hero slapped his palm on the sand, feeling excitement. From his hand there was a stream of white haze, circling into the spiral surrounding sand. The sense of possession of the fighting spirit was special. Lu and Yu seemed that everything around was under his control. Now he could attack more confidently, without weakening the defense. The morale, it turns out, is very good, the young man said. The beauty couldn't believe that this goddamn libel comprehended what she came here for. It was a real shame for her. Do you have a morale? Asked our hero. Xi Yue snorted and turned away. She didn't want to look at him anymore. Lu Yin spread his hands, not realizing that she did not like again. Maybe she's sick. At the same time, the mentor Sha Hai punched himself under his nose. It took only 12 hours to achieve the fighting spirit of the boy. Guan Yu did not lie. His previously sealed physical body potential is now released. I wonder where he comes from, possibly from the inner universe, or from some other place. Meanwhile, Hughes came out of the dark stone with a sad view. Although he made progress, but it wasn't enough. He needs to become even stronger to fight on an equal footing against masters in the Battle Kingdom. If he can't do anything in the fusion, then what's the Guardian? The guy thought about our hero. He was interested in how successful King Zusheng achieved. Yes, who now has the best result in the Battle Kingdom among the newcomers? At Luanya. Does he have? Isn't he in the Guardian? Broke through recently, but his successes at the level of the Guard were excellent. He won 3 victories in a row, and then 6. At the moment, his score reached 31 victory and 46 defeats. The guy was surprised by this turn. How did the young man achieve almost equal the ratio of victories and defeats? His current score is 4 wins and 76 defeats. He is not suitable for King Zishan in the note. What has happened to that since then? He's just lucky, or has he really become so strong? Returning to the 2nd tier of the Desert of Hope, Xi Yue had to hide behind our hero. She couldn't resist the wind, so it was the only way out. Chose money, reminded Lu Yin, then angered the young head of the Lyman clan. I give. The young man was very happy about it. Although for the highest task of the Guardians, he received 10,000 star crystals, but it was not enough for him. The girl gave him a card of the Bank Mobius. Here are 2,000 stellar crystals. Thank you so much for your generosity. Before the beauty managed to say what came to her mind, another fierce gust of wind fell on them. Our hero is already accustomed to him, and now he was under the protection of the fighting spirit, significantly reducing spiritual pressure. A few seconds later, the wind rushed into the distance. Xi, breathing heavily, looked at the guy who now looked as if he was resting in the park. Once in hopelessness, the girl said, "Take me from the wind so that I can comprehend the morale, and I will pay you 20,000 in return." 20,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals. Are you, I see, from a rich family? The beautiful with disgust snorted. What the hell, the money of her family? She herself earned a lot of money because she was a popular singer. Yes, every concert of her concert collected such fees that anyone would die of envy. She even had an amethyst card of the Mobius Bank, but it is better not to talk about it to this bastard. Otherwise, he will definitely bend the huge price. So, do you, I agree or not? Zai Yue asked coldly. Lu Yin pretended to doubt. I'll give you 30,000. Okay. A young man, for whom such a sum was very attractive, agreed. After the girl paid him, the young man turned his face into the darkness and began to look like a quiet wall that took all the blows. Being under the protection of our hero, the beauty no longer experienced threats. She only had to tolerate spiritual pressure. That's how it took 20 hours. The morale of Lu Yin has improved slightly, while Xi Yue didn't even show that she was successful. What's so long? The young man asked impatiently. The girl had his fists when she heard his dissatisfied tone. You think it's so easy to understand the fighting spirit. If this were the case, everyone in the universe would own it. Then why did I get so fast? The beauty was taken aback by his words. Even if he does not know who she is, which was already strange, he could at least show a little punctuality to such a beautiful girl as she is. I give you 10 hours. If you can't handle it, I'll leave, our hero said. Xi Yue snorted. I will add another 20,000. Well, I'm not in a hurry. I can still wait, Lu Yin answered to the fullest. The girl threatened with contempt. Sit quietly and do not look at me. The young man frowned his forehead and turned away. After a while, our hero seemed to be torn off the chain. Damn, who are you at all? Where did you come from in the 10th branch? I'm a 8th petition student and came here to practice, replied the beauty evasively, because she didn't want to give him his name. The 8th branch, it's in the inner universe, right? Is there no place to see the fighting spirit? Why come here? Lu Yu was curious. It doesn't concern you. You're kicked out, although with your character it's not surprising. Zai Yi shouted with anger, but then fell silent. By the way, you can ask, do you know how to improve morale? The young man suddenly realized that he still misunderstood this power. Sitting with her eyes closed, the girl replied, either to experience more severe spiritual pressure or fight. But if... Wait, let's get it. Let's make a deal. You're not going to talk to me anymore, and I'll tell you what I know about the fighting spirit, is it? All right. The beauty pulled a bottle of water from her spatial ring, moistened dry lips and throat, and then began to tell. The battle spirit comes from the root of the human body, its heart, which has unlimited potential. People, in fact, like springs, either resist or break. It is at the time of resistance that the morale improves. In total, he has 9 tags, a kind of level you have the most initial now. 9 tags. Our hero heard rumors that the masters, who reached a peak of morale, are able to crush everything in their path. Chapter 130. That's all I know. If not enough, then contact your mentors, said Zai Yue. Lu Yin thought about what she told him. A powerful wind arrived and departed. With the exception of this, only the girl herself from time to time made strange sounds. 2 days later, Zai Yue's body began to break down, and her dark blue hair began to gray and fall out. She was no longer as beautiful as she used to look sluggish. It seems to be losing her mind. The young man frowned, realizing that the girl was about to come to an end, but he could not interfere. When the whistling sound of the wind was heard, Zai Yue reflexively shuddered, as she was already afraid of this sound. Our hero sighed hard, pulled it to himself, and whispered, "The runway, the pilot of Aurora is landing." The clouded eyes of the girl immediately shone. She abruptly recovered and roared angrily. "Lid." At the same time, they were struck by spiritual pressure, brought by the wind. Zai Yue was furious, and under her influence released a faded white haze. After so many hours of suffering, she finally mastered the fighting spirit. However, at the moment the girl was not before. She wanted to kill a lousiness man. Lu Yin laughed and pointed to her. "Congratulations, you did it." Zai Yue shuddered and looked at her body. Did she handle it? The young man stood up and reached out. The girl was out of joy. She succeeded. Somewhere in the depths of the desert, the mentor Shahai nodded. The morale is like the will of man. Some in their entire lives will not be able to understand it, and someone is enough for several days. This girl's not bad. She's also a genius. "Okay, now the money is on the barrel," said our hero. Xi Yue looked at him, and meeting with him with a look, for some reason in her head, there was an image of a runway. It instantly pissed her off again, and she waved her palm to give him a slap-a-dance. "Go to hell." Lu Yin grabbed the girl's hand and snorted. "A woman, you better keep your promise, otherwise I am disturbing you, and what, in vain, do I hear what you constantly call me a libertine?" "Damn libel," shouted the young head of the Lyman clan, but over the past time she was very exhausted and completely exhausted. "Pay, you shouldn't have run out of money, right?" Xi Yue snorted and got 3 cards of the Bank Mobius. "There are 60,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals. You can take them, but remember, if you talk about what happened here, you'll get worse." "Why, what did I do to you like that?" The young man was surprised, realizing that he, except to protect her, did nothing more. The girl, ignoring his question, enthusiastically added, "Also in this life you can no longer say 2 words. Runway." "Shut up." Our hero took 3 cards and asked with doubt, "There are definitely 60,000 here." "Yes." "Okay, but if you lie to me, I'll tell you everything that happened. You, the rich, always take care of your reputation the most." Zai Yue no longer wanted to argue with him. "It's time to get out of here, I'll help you," said Lu Yin. The girl proudly got up and shouted, "Mentor Shahai, I want to leave." "A mentor," the young man took a staunch. "Okay," a voice came from the void, and then the invisible force took the young head of the Lyman. Our hero was hilarious. What, so it was possible? Why did he suffer so much, and why did this girl not leave before? "Mentor Shahai, I want to come out too," shouted Lu Yin. But no one paid attention to him. The boy repeated his wish. But again, it's quiet again. Our hero with anger rued his foot, taking off to the ceiling and punching a layer of sand. Although he was pressured by enormous pressure, but thanks to the morale of the morale, he ignored most of it, and the rest of the rest has long been accustomed. Soon, Lu Yin got to the top and happily looked at the bright disk hung in the sky, similar to the sun. Due to the fact that he spent several days in the dark, his eyes for some time could not get used to such a bright contrast. He had to sit down a little before he could see where to go. The girl, of course, was nowhere else to be seen. True, the young man was still on her. She was so nasty that he did not want to meet her again. Now our hero just wanted to eat to the dump and sleep. Meanwhile, all the exhausted Xi Yun appeared near the array of movement of the Nejd Desert. The students of the 8th Academy, who waited for her, were amazed at her condition. What could have happened to her in just 2 days? "Miss Zai Yue, how are you?" "Well," the girl did not want to talk about it, and immediately headed for the space station. A middle-aged woman met her at the ship in a stupor. Xi Yue, ignoring her, hastily entered the bathroom, where she spent several hours until she regained her former appearance. "A young chapter, what is wrong with you?" asked the woman as soon as the girl came out of the bath. Xi Yue sighed deeply and looked at the dark starry sky. Nothing, we are coming back. Did you learn the fighting spirit? The beauty raised her hand and immediately twisted the trickle of white smoke over her palm. It was not star energy or air, but the most mysterious force is the morale of the morale. Many interested began to consider the white haze. None of them have ever seen this force live. Miss, you did it in just a few days. It's great. I think in the 8th branch you took the fastest-minded morale. A middle-aged woman was happy. When the girl heard that she was the fastest, she immediately thought of Lu Yin. This bastard knew the essence of the fighting spirit in just 10 hours, and she managed it only with his help, and then only at the moment when he said those hated words. Damn lousy, if she doesn't get revenge, she won't be able to bear the name Xiua anymore. Tell everyone that Lu Yin of the 10th Starry Heaven offended me, said the beauty in a firm voice. A middle-aged woman and others chorus exclaimed, What? Just write that Lu Yin from the 10th branch teased me, understands, said the girl and grinned. Par dared to call me a flat-bottomed, a blind fool, but I have more, and in a couple of years it will be huge. A middle-aged woman did not understand what had happened, but followed the order of the young head. Soon, through many channels of information that closely followed Xi, the news about some Lu Yin spread. Taking into account the fact that earlier there was a rumor that the girl went to the 10th branch to look for a lover, countless people were very nervous. In the 8th branch, the ice eyes of the man froze all the surrounding magma. Tell Lenka to deprive Lu Unai of cultivation, and let him also bring one of his hands. In the middle of the cosmos, inside the huge spacecraft, Hart Busa looked angry. Muslim, it can be a lie to attract attention, someone said frightenedly. The guy looked at the porthole. The truth is it or not, but this woman was chosen by my brother. How can I allow someone else to have any connections with her? Lu Yin. This is the one who stole my top stream and now flirts with my woman. He's either a fearless or a fool. Then let's send us. I'll do this myself, Hart said emphatically. At the same time, Bon, flying from the 9th branch on his starship, was surprised by the news. Xiue is known and quite strong in the 8th branch. Few people can in the merger sphere to mock it. Apparently my mentor sent me to the 10th branch. Soon, due to the latest news about the beauty singer, many ships from the inner universe headed to the 10th starry sky. Seeing the universe reacted to her words, the girl already seemed to hear the suffering of the young man. Take and call me a flat runway, now you will make this strip. There were many fans of Xiue in the universe. The typical representatives of her fans were two brothers Pao. When the two brothers acrobats saw the news, at first several times they tried to understand who Lu Yin was, only then in shock they looked at each other. This is our first-year student. Brother, we have a problem, said Xiao Pao. My goddess was bullied. I'm not talking about that. Soon a whole crowd of angry fans will come to us. I don't even know what will happen to our junior. With the exception of training grounds, the rest of the space of the 10th branch was free. Our hero found a quiet, cozy place, was full of sleep and sleep. When Lu Yin woke up, he saw 100 messages from the Pao brothers. By their number, he realized that the case smelled fried. Soon, the young man met with his brothers. De Pao immediately flew up to him and grabbed him by the shoulders. Boy, tell me, with what hand you are to her. Lu Yin was confused. What? Xiao Pao told him what Xiue did. Only now the young man learned the origin of the girl, but he was infuriated by the fact that she spitted everything. She was really sick, because she herself said not to talk about what happened, and then on you, I opened it up. She's obviously in a bad mind. Seeing the inept appearance of the guy, the Pao brothers made sure that the words of their goddess were true. Everything, we are trunk, now so many people will fly into our academy, said the elder Pao helplessly. Xiao Pao turned to our hero. It is better for you to hide somewhere. The breathers of Xiue are very jealous and strong. Soon there will be a lot of them here. Chapter 131. Well, who am I going to face? With the cultivators of knowledge? Lu Yin asked. Xiao Pao shook his head. The masters of knowledge cannot fight freely with who they want, but you can face the cultivators of the Granny Sphere, as well as talented masters of the Union. Many of them win victories in the Battle Kingdom, and someone even managed to try themselves in trials in 3 spheres and 6 laps. You have only recently reached the sphere of the merger. It will be difficult for you to fight them. It is better to hide. The young man thought. His cultivation only gained momentum. He comprehended the morale and developed the control of stellar energy well. Now he will try to win 100 victories in the Battle Kingdom and enter into 3 spheres and 6 laps. He did not want to hide and waste time, except that XIUA said that the morale can be strengthened through battles. If they want to fight with him, why refuse such an opportunity? Senior, I'm sorry, but I don't want to leave. I'll stay train in the Hope Desert. If someone needs me, please tell me what I am there, our hero said firm. De Pau patted Lu Ini on the shoulder. You have high ambitions, I agree with you. Only underwear hides, and in our 10th branch there are no such. Take this opportunity to develop your potential better. Xiao Pao also supported the young man's decision, believing that perhaps things weren't so bad. In any case, the guy will not be killed directly in the academy. No mentor will allow it. At this point, the terminal of the senior Pao rang. The man looked at what was there and abruptly blurred. Already. Our hero and Xiao Pao looked at him questioningly. The main disturber of tranquility arrived. Lunch from the 8th branch. Who is it? Lu Yin was surprised. The man tried to answer briefly. A strong cultivator of the merger, no weaker than Xi, as well as the 2nd strongest in the domain of the flame. He is second only to the leader of the raiding of Garu. The House of Flame. The young man slightly bleed. Our hero has already encountered the subordination of this faction, but then Lula dealt with them, and now he will have to personally fight with their 2nd best young master. Stay in the Desert Hope. He came here for you, so you can't get off from him, said the younger Pao. Lu Yin nodded, entered the array of movements and disappeared. On the space station, the 10th branch of the doors of the arriving ship opened, and a group of masters of the Lament domain came out of it. The lunch looked around and nodded. Soon all this will belong to the domain of the flame. Xiao Pao quickly arrived at the station and ran into a guy. Are you a student of the 10th Starry Sky? Where Lu Yin, let it come out. Junior Pao frowned, but then suddenly he dawned. He stretched out his hand and with the help of stellar energy wrote, Lu Yin is in the Desert of Hope. If you need it, go there yourself. Then the undergraduate snatched loudly and headed to the exit without saying a word. The Desert of Hope, you say? Well, I will go to him and exchange experience with him. I hope the Tentu teachers won't bother me. Xiao Pao continued to go without turning around. The guy snorted and rushed to the array of movement. The cultivators of the flame domain wanted to follow him, but he left them here, as they were not students of the Starry Sky Academy. Although the academy had 10 independent branches, but in fact, it did not matter what branch you belonged to. The student of the 8th school was also considered a 10th student. Just many looked at the 10th branch from above and did not want to contact her, so no one came here. Heading to the right place, Lank decided to take away from Lu Yin not only his hand, but also break the remaining limbs. The main thing is that the mentors do not interfere with him. At this time, our hero thought that since people will come to him soon to constantly come to him to challenge him, then why not take advantage of it? Remembering what happened on Earth, a demonic smile appeared on his face. The guy of the domain of the flame very quickly reached the Desert of Hopes, a fairly famous place in all of space. Lank, a student of the 8th branch, asks for an audience with the mentor Sha Hai, shouted the guy. Lu Yin looked towards the array of movement, hearing the voice of his opponent. What are you say? A man's voice was echoed in the desert. The student wants to hold a training fight with Lu Yin from your academy. I hope you will not interfere with us. I won't. I hope that, until one of the parties admits the defeat, you will not intervene. I said I wouldn't, so I won't. Stop talking, or I'll get you out of here at the speed of light, grumbled Sha Hai, who had the character like a time bomb. Our hero calmly stood near the array and looked at the approaching enemy. Luck immediately sang his eyes down, seeing the young man. Lu Yin, I've heard of you. Did you come to fight me? I want to exchange experience with you. I just don't fight if there's a bet. The bet? I'm a cultivator and I don't have much time, and you want to take it for no good reason. Have you ever heard a saying? Do you like to ride, love, and carry sleds? Now, if you want to fight, offer me a reward, otherwise I won't waste time on you. The guy laughed. Haha, what do you want? Our hero raised 2 fingers. 20,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals, and I will fight you. 20. Yeah, what's the matter? Lunk squirted coldly. Your time is not worth so much. Okay, then another option. If you win, you won't lose anything, but if I win, I'll take anything I'll take from you in your spatial ring. It's coming. The eyes of Lu and Ya were excited. Great! I respect the determination of the masters of the domain of the flame. Big brother, then we can start. Be careful, youngest, the fists don't have eyes. With these words, the guy rushed to the young man and the star energy broke out of his body, turning into a powerful flame. Our hero had to admit that in front of him is an elite student of the 8th branch. His control over the stellar energy was no worse than daily, probably even a little stronger. He imitated a flaming flame and improved his skills. Something similar was when he fought with Gulbach, then he applied the piercing thunder arrow. But Brother Grace took advantage of the special fruit of lightning. Having thought about how it is, Lu Yin used the flickering of the void and, slipping past the fiery pulse, appeared in the face of Lenka, immediately hitting the 9 flows. The guy was thrown into the icy sweat, and he reflexively tried to avoid a direct collision. A powerful air flow blew all its stellar energy, but he managed to dodge. In the end, Lunch realized that he underestimated the young man. Previously, he thought that no one in the 10th branch would be able to resist him, but it seems that he was a big mistake. Our hero did not stop, continuing to attack. His opponent in confusion put on himself a fiery armor and tried to rebuff. However, Lu Yin again hit the 9 streams, which quietly made a hole in the armor of the guy and shook his insides. Although the second strongest young master of the domain of the Flameni was strong, he caused much less problems than Xiue. Finding himself near the fall on the ground, Lankin, who shook with pain, the young man took his spatial ring and kicked him on his chest, so that he did not even think to get up. Stop, said the guy. Our hero sat on the squats and looked at him indifferently. What? You give up your words. Inside the domain skills of the flame domain. If you take them, the domain will chase you to the edge of the universe. Lu Yin said disparagingly. Yes, they have not given up for me for nothing, but now, if I do not take them, I will make myself a coward. Lunk was even more worried. What do you want? The next moment, the young man poured everything from the guy's spatial ring. Mostly inside were stellar crystals, more than 10,000 cubic meters, as well as several maps of the Bank Mobius. The rest was not enough. Medicines, armor, blaster, and other strange red cards, from which it came warm. They must have been something to do with the fighting skills of the flame domain. Our hero had no time to see them all. Taking the crystals and cards of the Mobius Bank, he grabbed one of the red cards with the symbol of the flame domain. Lunk looked at him with a frozen look. Even if the young man is then caught and killed for encroaching on the skills of a domain, he will not be able to turn away from responsibility. I'm not interested in the skills of your domain of fire, but they can be sold, and for a tidy amount, right? Lu Yin grinned. What do you want? Tell me about the top 8 television master. The guy exhaled, rejoicing that the boy's request was simple. Okay. In the 8th branch, there is 1 master of the kingdom and 3 heads of regions. One of the heads of the regions I serve, his name is Gar. He is the strongest in the rating of young masters of the domain of the flame. When the chapters will be released, as well as other information you can find out in my Telegram channel https://t me/Ra the Fawn. Chapter 132. Wait, what else is the master of the kingdom and the head of the regions? What do you mean? Asked Lu Yin. Luck was surprised. Do you know what these terms mean? I'm asking questions here, not you, said the young man, and pressing the guy with his foot on his chest. The sound of the sky kept the key to the field of testing, also known as 3 spheres and 6 laps. In those 9 places, there are many different trials that are controlled by the strongest students, getting huge advantages for it. Have you ever been to any of them? Our hero thought. His understanding of the 3 spheres and 6 laps became more clear. How strong are the heads of regions? Strong. It will not be possible to describe in words. In every world, there are only a few good places. They are controlled by the heads of regions, trying to keep their position from other students, which can be located not only in the sphere of the merger, but also in the field of Granny. It turns out that this Gar is much stronger than you, loomed Lu Yin. It was hard for the guy to admit it, but it was. Gar was not only in the field of Granny, but also won a huge number of elite masters to get the post of head of the region. Now he did not even know what level his undergraduate reached. What about the master of the kingdom? Who is it? The young man was very curious what kind of monster this, since he was allocated separately. Maybe he's in control of the entire test space. The master of the kingdom is called Feng Shang, the strongest among the students of the 8th branch, and one of the members of the student council of the Starry Academy. Feng Shang independently created the Gates of Hurricane and is at the peak of the world of illusions. Student Council of Starry Heaven, our hero was surprised. The academy is divided into 10 branches, but the student council is responsible for everything. Only those who have reached the level of the master of the kingdom can join it. Also, the student council is a subordinate force of the youth council, so it has a great influence. And if you are in this council, it will be possible to meet with 10 judges, Lu Yin asked. The guy nodded. Theoretically, yes. How do I join me? I have already said that only those who have reached the level of the master of the kingdom can join. In fact, there can be only one such student in each branch, but for hundreds of years, no one in the 10th branch has been able to get this status, so you have no connection with the student council for a long time. The young man was silently thinking about something. There are rumors that your 10th branch here was exiled by the advice of the 10 sentences, but in fact, they initially received a report from the student council and only then drove you out, Luck said with a mockery. Our hero again hit the guy with his foot on his chest. I have already warned you, you can only speak when I will allow you. Luck was furious, but he had no strength to defeat Lu Yin, so he had to endure. Tell me about Gar. What is his strength? The young man had a feeling that he would definitely meet in the future. I do not know much about him. I only know that he is the strongest young master of the domain of flames, and the elders spend a huge amount of resources on it to make it even stronger. I also heard that Gar is studying the ancient combat skill of the domain, the All-Elite Devouring Sword of Flamni. In addition, he is still the head of the world of illusions, but that he bought there I do not know. No one has ever seen him use all his power. Our hero frowned because of a bad premonition when he thought of the power of this Gar. The world of illusions, one of the 6 circles of trials, what belongs to the 8th branch. In other words, is it only your students? Lu Yin asked. If you do not take into account the 3 kingdoms, each of the 6 circles controls one branch. Mine commands the world of the illusions. Also between the branches, which controls 6 laps, there is an unspoken contract not to attack each other. The young man didn't like what he heard. It turns out that the 3 kingdoms were ruled by the first 3 branches, and the remaining 6 circles. The 10th branch had nothing. Now it is clear why the mentor of the boundaries of the test could allow to enter the 9 worlds of trials only after 100 victories in the battle kingdom. It was a kind of preparation and verification, because once in one of the worlds, you will be pursued in order to drive out the unwanted guest as soon as possible. I've told me a lot of things, can you get me back this? The guy asked. Our hero threw him a red card. He was not really concerned about the skills of the flame domain, but was only interested in higher skills and techniques, so if it was the All-Elite Sword of the Flame, he definitely wouldn't have returned it. How much money do you have on those cards? Lu Yin asked. Lunk looked unsightly when he replied, 40,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals. The eyes of the young man froze with joy. He is rich again, because if you add what Xiue gave him, then he now has a total of more than 150,000 cubic meters of crystals. Free, but if you want to fight again, I'm looking forward to it. Just come immediately with the money, okay? Our hero grinned. While Lu Yin said this, he took out a plaque from the ring and wrote on it the conditions that the guy previously offered to the guy. Anyone who wants to fight should bet either 20,000 cubic meters of star crystals or put his spatial ring on the horse. The young man understood that soon they would come here still wanting to miss him, and in order not to say 100 times the conditions, it was better to write them. Seeing what he wrote on the plaque, Lang felt his chest shrinking. He coughed again, hastily got up and went towards the mass of movement. "See you soon," shouted his hero after him. The guy hastened the step in fear. Today was a nightmare for him. He did not expect that such a strong student would appear in the 10th branch. When lunch disappeared, the smile on Lu Yin's face faded and he began to look very serious. The young man thought that the achievement of the sphere of the merger, his strong physical body and morale, will be powerful enough to get into the 9 worlds of trials, but based on the words of the guy, he will not be able to defeat even the head of the region. What can we say about fighting with the master of the kingdom? He's still too weak. He needs to keep progressing. At some point, behind our hero quietly appeared a high figure with a naked muscular breast, filled with scars. Feeling at his sight, Lu Yin turned around and was amazed. "I greet the mentor Sha Hai. Parnek, you have mastered the morale, which means that the Desert of Hope recognized you. You can choose a combat skill, and I will help you master it." The eyes of the young man shone with anticipation. He completely forgot about it. "Mentor, I want to improve my skills." "What's up?" Flickering of emptiness. Show me it." The feet of our hero strained, and he disappeared abruptly, after which he appeared on the sidelines. At the moment, the flickering of the void of Lu Yin was different from the version that Tao Xiangated taught him. He connected part of the white flash with this skill, thereby increasing its speed. Without this, the young man could not fight the masters of the merger and the Granier in the Battle Kingdom. The man was surprised. He noticed that the skill of our hero contained the energy inherent in the Bai Yi clan. The boy never stopped impressing him. The terrifying physical potential, the ancient seal and the mysterious technique mentioned by Guan Yue, associated with the stars, and now the combat skill of the Bai Yi clan, which was good, but the guy clearly did not do well. "Boy, do you know that when the body goes beyond certain limits, it can lead to a variety of changes," said Sha Hai, and put his hand on the shoulder of Lu Yin. "Let me see your limits." At the next moment, the young man sharply felt a strong pain in the shoulder, and the space in front of him began to change continuously to the forest, then to the desert, then to something else. The speed was so fast that there was not even a residual image behind. Moreover, he saw a space break. This shocked our hero. Space is destroyed. It is not possible to achieve this in the sphere of the merger. Since what should be the speed, since it can affect it? At this time, the mentor was also surprised, because he saw that the guy had not yet reached the limit of his body. His physical body was a hell of a lot, and the man liked it. On the body of Lu Yin spread a lot of pain. On both sides, he saw the cracks in the space. For a moment, it even seemed to him that through one of them he saw Michelle. At some point, the young man tore out and he lost consciousness. The speed was too high, and his spiritual body could not withstand it. Sha Hai was amazed again because the seal, recently removed from the physical body of a guy, gave the same strong body that no one in the field of merger did not. What kind of family does he have such potential? When our hero came to his senses, the whole pale smiled with bitterness. The teacher, the speed was too high. "We have reached the limit of your spiritual body, but not the physical." The pupils of Lu Yin have expanded sharply. "That is, I can reach the same speed." The man looked into the distance. Movement skills are very demanding to the physical body, but you have it very strong. Now you just have to try to repeat what I showed." The young man thought, and then sat down and began to carefully recall the incredible speed and reaction that he experienced. Mentor Shahai thought a little, took a step forward and disappeared. Chapter 133. At the same time, Guan Yu on the Infinite Rain platform opened his eyes, sighed, and disappeared in the void. The old Sai in the treasure pavilion waved his hand and disappeared, leaving the stunned Silver that he did not understand where he had been paused. Near the border of the tests, Coco wanted to approach the cross-border stone, but crashed into some invisible barrier, and when she turned towards the mentor, she was surprised to realize that he had disappeared somewhere. The 10th branch was huge, and in one of the places there was a giant abyss from which black stones were sticking out. At this point, there was a dean of the academy who looked at the heaven with a brooding look. Next to him, one after another, there were mentors. All of them were 5. The old man took his eyes away from the sky and threw 5 people with a slight look, after which he sat down and spoke. "You had a hard time over the years." 5 men retreated at the same time. "Chapter, don't do this. We will not be able to withstand another pogrom," said Guan Yu. The dean sighed hard. "It's only to think about my academy, having unprecedented fame, is now on the verge of collapse because of me. I am ashamed of your ancestors, and you that I have been with me for thousands of years." Shahai shook his head. "This is your imprisonment, and we are only old men, jailers. This is our mission." The eyes of the old man changed dramatically from the former clouded shade to an unprecedentedly bright one. "I would like to ask that you fulfill your duties as mentors and help my branch restore your glory." Old Sai rolled his eyes. "Come, without it, we are not mentors. We don't have time to help you." The tester involved in the border tried. "I can't help." Shahai only snorted. The mentor of the Star Pavilion remained indifferent. Guan Yu shook his head. The dean looked in the direction of the abyss. "Long ago, all the books of the academy were destroyed by my fault. Everything fell apart and many either died or left. It's my fault, but I want to fix it. Please, in memory of the Unlimited, help me once." 5 men were shocked when they heard the word betray. The old man continued to say, "You stayed here no less than I, and you should know that the Unlimited is all that is left of our ancestors. Please, wait, don't embarrass him." The old man, who is responsible for the tests abroad, sighed and opened his eyes for the first time. "For the sake of the Unlimited, I can fulfill the duties of a mentor." Guan Yu agreed. "I am too." Shahai looked at the dean and nodded in a couple of moments. "Okay." The old cow snorted. "Damn, I'm playing these games for the last time." The mentor of the Star Pavilion quietly said, "For the sake of the boundless." The head of the academy was grateful. "Thank you all. There is half a month left before the first-year competition. After it is over, choose the right students and prepare them for the upcoming great competition of the 10 branches." The next minute, 5 men disappeared. The dean breathed a sigh of relief and looked up at the sky with pain at his heart. It was much more difficult for him to be in his right mind than to be mad, but for the sake of the glory of the Unlimited, he had to pull himself together. After a while, the eyes of the old man slightly clouded and he shouted, "For the war that you started, everyone will be responsible. Ha ha." While on the territory of the Desert Hope, the mentor Shahai looked aside, where the crazy dean remained and shook his head. "The more you blame, the more sorry." After that, the man looked at the desert and saw Lu Ini that he trained diligently. "The boy is talented, although not as much as I would like, but much better than others. Maybe he will not have the strength to fight the elite of the starry sky, but he can be considered the hope of the Unlimited." A day later, our hero opened his eyes, got up and disappeared with the help of the flicker of the void, appearing somewhere deep in the desert. His speed was much higher, but it was clearly not the limit. "My body can withstand even more, there is nothing to fear," muttered the young man, then tested the skill a few more times and decided that it was time to use a cube. With this thought, he left the warehouse of hope. Heading to the array of displacement, Lu Yin suddenly remembered that he had not yet examined the academy completely, but it was very large. Soon the young man reached the treasure pavilion, intending to go further into the academy. There, in theory, no one should be, which means that no one will spy on him. He did not want to go to other places, because to cross the same infinite rain platform, it will take the whole day. After a while, our hero bypassed the treasure pavilion and went out on a wide field. In this place there were many destroyed buildings and debris, and on the ground there were various cracks, from which came warm. Although Lu Yin did not know what this place was used for earlier, but according to the wreckage of buildings, it was safe to say that the houses here were large. Having chosen a dilapidated house at random, the young man entered it and called a cube. He has not used his gift of heaven for a long time, and if he used to pray that he did not fall into 6, then now everything was the opposite. Clicking on the cube, he quickly dizzied. A unit fell out, which did not surprise our hero, because most often it fell out. After a couple of seconds, a bottle of medicine flew out of the cube in a very old package. After examining the bottle, Lu Yin shook his head. Although the packaging was old, it did not mean that the drugs were from ancient times. Some races liked to stick to ancient methods of creating drugs, so they did not resort to high-tech ways. The young man opened the bottle and smelled the contents, realized that he had received a fairly common medicine. After that, he put it in the ring, charged the cube, and activated it again. The second time our hero got the 5, but he did not even twitch, realizing that in 10 seconds it was simply impossible to find a master with the gift of heaven. The third attempt finally fell something useful, namely 4 with its space-time. The next point in the county before the eyes of Lu Yin changed quickly, and he appeared in the gray room, where the 3-day reverse countdown began. The young man was pleased that each time he received 3 days in 1 cubic meter of crystals. Thinking about what he could do during this time, our hero decided to fix the 7th heavenly body, and maybe even form the 8th. This will double its culture speed and help to reach the peak of the merger faster. The gap between the beginning of the sphere and its highest point was huge, because both levels had different amounts of stellar energy. Luck was clearly at the peak of the merger, so Lu Yin felt from him an oppressive feeling that he had offset his physical body. In the battle of masters of one sphere, such pressure, one might say, was a factor determining victory. Our hero didn't want to lose because of this. Realizing that 3 days, most likely, not enough, the young man threw 600 cubic meters of crystals into the timer, suggesting that this will increase the time of space to 33 days, but he made a mistake. 600 cubic meters increased time only by 16 days, which means that the more time he wanted to get, the more you will have to spend. Lu Yin understood that if it were not for this, then such an ability would be too strong. Throwing all unnecessary thoughts out of his head, the young man took 50 cubic meters of crystals, increasing the gravitational pressure of space by 50 times, and then took out the star map and began to train. 10 days later, his 7th celestial body was fully formed. This increased the power of Starry Hand, with which he could now defeat the same Lanking without resorting to the palm of the 9 stream. But for now, 9 streams remained the most powerful skill of our hero. To surpass it, the star hand of the starry must form the 8th star. For the next 9 days, Lu Yin continued to consider the star map. From time to time, he made star crystals in a timer, thus prolonging the existence of space for another 8 days. On the 7th day, he could not even see the 8th star. The young man frowned and looked around. He had been shaking around for almost a month and no longer wanted to stay in this gray room all alone. Having rested the remaining hours of the space of time, our hero returned to the outside world, where only a couple of seconds passed. Lu Yin raised his hand, and 7 stars circled around his palm. If it were not for the palm of the 9 stream, the star palm would have been its most powerful force. Dissipating the skill, the young man again called the cube and poked on it. Previously, he had already used the gift 3 times, therefore he was the last safe chance, since the fifth had already gone beyond it. When the cube stopped spinning, the unit fell again. Our hero is silent. He wanted to see the Troika so much to understand what ability she had, but the theft fell again. Soon from the cube flew a flap of hard leather with strange symbols. The text was voluminous, but when Lu Yin looked at it, he faced some powerful influence from which blood flowed from his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. The young man hurriedly threw a piece of skin and breathed hard. Chapter 134. The words written by someone almost killed him. The one who left this piece of skin was definitely very strong. These writings must contain some important information. Lu Yin wiped the blood from his face and looked at his spatial ring with fear, where he immediately removed a piece of skin. He decided not to touch this subject until he reached at least the sphere of the grannies. At this point, the sound of the warning was heard from his personal terminal. The young man looked at the clock and was surprised. Someone came to him again in search of trouble. Hartbus. Very familiar name. Isn't that the guy in The Guardian with whom he fought in the Battle Kingdom? I remember he has a pretty strong gift from heaven. However, as he managed to find him, he also used the pseudonym Seventh Brother. Our hero did not think long and immediately rushed back to the Desert of Hope. At the same time, on the space station of the 10th branch, the Pao brothers were amazed by the man who represented before them. It was actually a member of the Busa clan from the inner universe. They heard the name of Hart and knew that the guy defeated many strong opponents of the merger sphere. But however, they were not afraid of them at all. That's what really terrified was his older brother, Sarat Busa, a true monster of his generation. "Where is your Loi Yin? It's in the Trust of Hope," asked Hart. "That's right," said the Centiger Pao. Anymore, the guy walked into the array. The dry and hot desert climate for many was unpleasant, but for Hart, it was a real resort because Phoenix was the personification of fire and heat. Our hero came here earlier and corrected a previously written plaque, after which he began to wait quietly. He was confident in his victory because he was able to defeat the guy when he was in the Guardian. Now the situation is completely different. The young man was even interested in whether he will be able to defeat him with one blow. Hart came out of the array and immediately saw the table, but looked at it with a mockery and took a look at Lu Ini, throwing Mobius in the side of the crystal map of the bank, and then proudly rushed to the attack. "In this card a lot of money. Take it, if of course you can." The boy realized that this guy was even arrogant than lank. Although not surprisingly, he even used his real name in the Battle Kingdom. Unfortunately, in addition to arrogance, he was also impulsive. "You came here because of CUA." In the eyes of Hart, the cold broke out. He stopped and stared at our hero. "You have no right to pronounce her name. She's my fiancé, which means part of the Phoenix family. He who mocks my family deserves to die." Lu Yin was stunned by such pretentious behavior. "How old are you?" The ice shine in the eyes of the guy became even brighter, and he instantly threw himself at the enemy with a new force, releasing a golden flame from his body. Deep in the desert, the mentor Shah Hai was surprised. A truly descendant of the Busa clan, becoming more interesting and interesting. Looking at the flag-focused Hammart, the young man remembered that earlier stopped this attack with the starry palm, but now there was something more aidful in his arsenal. Raising his hand, he cried out loudly, "The palm of the 9 streams." Shu Tilda. The golden flames engulfed a large space around, burning everything that touched, but the attack of our hero tore it apart and stopped right in front of the guy's forehead. The appalling pressure of compressed air scattered the sand under the feet of the descendant of the Baus clan, forming a deep pit in which he continued to stand in silent shock. Master Hart. Master Hart. Several students who followed the guy in the 10th branch exclaimed loudly, but seeing that he looked like he was just standing, they breathed a sigh of relief. After that, the group sneaked into the Moon Yin. In the 10th branch was such a strong master. In the 5th branch among the masters of the Union were no more than 10 people who could defeat Hart in one movement, so they did not expect to meet the same here. The young man twisted a vicious smile, looking at a group of students. "Take this card and bring me." One of the disciples of the sphere of the merger hastily picked up the map and honorably handed it to our hero. Although they, one might say, were enemies, but they were all students of the same academy, where force was the most important. The glowed heart stared at Liu Yin. He was defeated faster than he had reacted. "Did we fight at all?" involuntarily asked the guy, trying to clarify the situation. The boy removed the card and replied indifferently, "I don't know, maybe." Hart squeezed his fists. He was in disgraceful, crushed, and could not put up with it. "I will be back soon." After these words, the guy went deep into the desert. He intended to make a breakthrough, because only in the sphere of the merger will be able to fight against our hero. A group of students of the 5th branch ran after him. Liu Yin laughed at the restless, but did not worry, because he received a lot of benefits from it. Meanwhile, on the space station of the 10th branch, there was a ship with the coat of arms of the 9th branch. Xiao Pao was surprised by this. When the doors of the ship opened, it seemed Bon, dressed in a black jacket with a flag of Black Phoenix. Seeing this banner, the younger Pao strangely squinted towards the Desert of Hope. Here has already arrived a guy from the clan of Busa, who was the family of the sacred beast, and now here is also the fallen branch of this clan in Busa. Two deadly enemies came together for the sake of one enemy. Whatever you say, but it looked crazy. Bon silently approached the array of movement and went to the Desert of Hope. Xiao Pao followed him. Our hero was looking at the loot. He had 20,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals in reserve, plus about more than 100,000 in the maps of the Bank Mobius, but he did not know the exact number. However, even so now it can be considered a real richer. At this moment, in the depths of the desert, a huge pillar of the golden flame shot right into the sky, illuminating the already bright space. Liu Yin was looking forward to a new fight, because Hart was one of the few people you could fight with. With the advent of the golden pillar, the Desert of Hopes boiled, and with this, the phoenixes were heard in the district, which shocked the young man. At the same time, a figure appeared in the desert and looked into the distance. "The shameless family of Busa is also here." After these words, she was engulfed in a black flame and she rushed forward. Liu Yin noticed a black man covered with black flames and was surprised by this. "What is going on here?" Xiao Pao stood near the array of movements and slightly shook his head, expecting that soon this place would be very noisy. In the depths of the desert, the eyebrows of the mentor Shahuya rose. "Dark Phoenix, that's the coincidence." Hart, who broke into the sphere of the merger, opened his eyes abruptly and looked at the entrance to the desert with an angry look. "Damn traitors, go and catch it." "Yes, young master," a group of students of the 5th branch answered in chorus. Soon powerful oscillations began to spread in the desert. In the sky flashed black flame, but it brought not fever, but tearing the cold to the bones and corrosive stellar energy. Although the students of the 5th branch were strong, Bon still defeated them, since the genius of the Wenbusa clan cannot be defeated by them. Our hero stood in the distance and watched the battle. A variety of combat skills blinded his eyes, but he admitted that the stranger was very strong. In the distance, the golden flame, accompanied by high temperature, became even brighter. Although Hart just broke through, he could safely hold back the black flame. It is because of this that the students of the 5th branch were not injured. Yes, so many years have passed, and they still will not calm down. Apparently only death will be able to put an end to their relationship. The younger Pao pacified that appeared next to Liuan. The boy asked, "And who is this man?" "He's from the Wenbusa clan, the fallen Dark Phoenix clan. The one you fought before, his name is Hart Busa. He's from the Phoenix Strait clan. A long time ago, both clans were united, but as a result, constant disagreements began, which ended in a bloody massacre. Now I know why they are so similar. Well, the Wenbusa family holds, but they have little chance of changing things. The main Boob clan drove them away from the ancestral land. This Bon is a student of the 9th branch. He apparently came to deal with the situation of Zai Yue, but faced with Hart. Ha ha, who would have thought that this would happen?" Xiao Pao gloated. Lu Yin laughed too. The 9th and 10th branches were neighbors and therefore were the main enemies. It is a pity that Heart Busu did not leave after the defeat, although perhaps it is even better. "Damn Phoenix, get out of here," cried Bon. In the distance in the sky hovered a huge golden phoenix, distorting the space. Heart reached the fusion and immediately showed tremendous power, surpassing even the Lanka. Our hero was surprised by how much power the guy gave his gift of heaven. The golden phoenix waving his wings while Heart was standing below it, that he was coldly looking at Bon. "Who gave you the courage to open your mouth?" "The main branch is the real bandits. Depicti family, you all have to die. Dirty-blooded, your branch was created after the fusion of Phoenix and the Star Beast. It was a mistake of the main branch, but it does not change the fact that you, damn slaves, will never be considered equal to us." Two huge phoenix, gold and black, collided in the sky, spreading a deafening rumbling in space. Due to the powerful shock wave in the desert, a sandstorm was raised, accompanied by bursts of gold and black flame. Students of the 5th branch, terrified, ran to a safe place. Lu Yin and Xiao Pao stood near the array of movement in mild shock, after which the undergraduate puller waved his hand, forming a barrier. They dispersed not to joke. The residual energy of the two masters of the merger was enormous. The young man was surprised that Xiao Pao very easily blocked everything that flew in their direction. The 10th branch was abandoned, and there was a rumor that the remaining two brothers Pao were weak, but our hero it seemed that this was not the case at all. Chapter 135. Watching the battle was fun, but it didn't last long. Mentor Sha Hai ordered Xiao Pao to leave, and Lu and Yu dealt with two, as he said, noisy chickens. High in the sky, two phoenixes still fought each other. The young man very quickly appeared right in front of Heart, and a powerful blow of 9 stream put the guy to the ground, because of which the golden phoenix in the sky dissipated. Almost immediately after that, he hit Bonds with the other hand that he tried to block the attack, but he did not succeed. The palm of the 9 stream contained 9 waves, each stronger than the previous one. This skill was very powerful, but only because our hero used it against opponents with a low sphere. Thanks to his strong body, he could use this skill, belonging to the sphere of Granny, at the maximum. Otherwise it would have to be used 6 streams, and they would clearly not be enough against such as Heart and Bon. The shocking clash of two phoenixes was interrupted by Lu and M. The 5th branch students were terrified. They knew Heart well. In addition, he had just reached the sphere of the merger. You could say he was stronger at times, but he was still defeated. Lying in the sand, Heart blew up blood, but his eyes burned only with pure anger. He lost again, and again from one blow. Why is this guy so strong? Bon, who lay nearby, coughed blood and sat slowly. In the 10th branch, he was crushed by a powerful master of the same level. Although he was not the strongest in the 9th branch, he was among the top 5. It is not surprising that the mentor sent him to investigate the situation here. Our hero looked at them and said loudly, "The 10th branch is not a yard for you, where outsiders can solve personal problems. Here you can only fight with me, and if you do not want to, then fail." Heart wiped the blood from his mouth, stood up and said, "Let's go." Bon rose and reluctantly held Heart's gaze, and then cried at Lu Yin and also left. The young man's last attack made it clear that he was weaker. Fighting him was pointless. Noticing that everyone was leaving, our hero was upset and realized that it was necessary to treat them softer. Then he would be able to earn more money. On the space station, Xiao Pao led 2 groups, after which he left. Inside the spacecraft, Heart called someone, and soon a hologram of a beautiful man appeared in front of him. Seeing it, the students of the 5th branch hurriedly bowed and were afraid to raise their heads. "How about it?" Heart squeezed his teeth. "I want to enter the secret kingdom of the clan." "I asked you how it went." "I lost to Luin from the 10th branch." "How many shots?" "1, said the guy, buzzing his face. A man sighed. "Apparently, until you take the true form, you will not be able to defeat it." Hearing about the true form, Heart trembled with fear. "Oh, I can." If you want to win, you have to take the true form, but there's a good chance that you will die. The guy squeezed his fists tightly, remembering not only our hero, but also the monsters of the fifth branch. I will take the true form. The man smiled. I'll tell you when you should start. If you do it, you can directly join the main council of the 10 sentences, but if not, I will avenge you. Lu Yin, right? I remember his name. Thank you, brother. The hologram disappeared, and only after the students of the fifth branch were able to exhale. Meeting with one of 10 judges of the youth council, Saret Busa, was too heavy a burden for them. The 10th branch lived calmly for the next 2 days. No one came. Apparently the bulk of those wishing to fight was on the way and will not arrive soon. Our hero asked about where his other fellow students, and found out that they found the places of cultivation suitable for themselves. In the 10th branch, there are other places for training. Lu Yin was surprised. Xiao Pao replied, of course, our academy has been passed down from generation to generation since ancient times. Although after the accident she suffered, some training grounds partially survived. They cannot compare with 3 holy places of cultivation, but for beginners very good. What about me? Is there something suitable for me? Asked the young man. The guy rolled his eyes. Look for yourself. How do I know? I'm a student too. You can try to turn to the mentors or the dean, but I do not know if they will help you. Our hero suddenly remembered that crazy old man that, most likely, was Dean, but did not want to go to him, yet life was more expensive. At this point, Lu Yin remembered something else. Lulu then, on the ship, told him that she had to get into the 10th branch to get something and fight someone. I wonder if she did it. It's better to stay here, even though it was quiet for a couple of days, but soon things will change, said Xiao Pao. The young man spread his hands, complaining about the slowness of his rivals. The Hope battle must have occurred in the desert came from the outside. Lunk was defeated, Hart and Bon, too. These 3 were quite famous for their power, but still lost. Because of the rumors that spread Zai Yue, the glory of our hero grew. Even those who were still on the girl began to be interested in Lu and Nim, feeling that they would not mind to fight him. In the 6th branch, a group of people just discussed the young man. It is strange, where in such an abandoned academy could there be such a strong master? The universe is so great that new talents appear every day. The domain of the flame trembled his dignity, because that Lu Yin defeated the luck and then robbed him. They deserve it. I heard the domain tried to get the 10th branch from gaining students, but their masters lost. Now they have sent the cultivator even stronger and again we're not the lot. Ha ha ha. Yes, you are quiet. Do you want to die? Look better not to go to the world of illusions, or you will wake up on Gara. What are you so afraid of? Why would I want to go into the world of illusions? I just warned you. Gar is the head of the region. If he wants your life, there will be nowhere to run. All right, shut up. Sidai's better who's going there, one of the students said. The group immediately turned around and saw a stunning bait with white hair long to her barefoot legs. She wore a summer blue dress, combined with her white skin, as well as a silver ring with a black border. That irresistible girl, of course, was Mila. It's Mila, she's back, the students cried excitedly. Because of the return of the girl, the 6th branch became very noisy. Mila was the star of the 6th branch, because she had already reached the sphere of knowledge and could be released, but remained a student of the academy. She was also an assistant to the Council of 10 Sentences and was second there only to 10 judges. The girl smiled weakly, and her red pupils shimmered, charming the crowd, but she thought about something else. Lu Yin, you became so famous. I underestimated you because everyone is talking about you, and you're not even in the 9 kingdoms of trial. By the way, my younger sister is also there, will be quite interesting. Mila kept thinking slowly, heading into the academy, leaving behind a beating smell. It was still a day, and, as expected, the intruders of tranquility appeared, and there were many of them. Our hero did not refuse any of them. He, as the owner, showed maximum hospitality, trying to tear off the guests as many as possible. But they were all too weak. much worse than Hart and his kind. Although this did not upset Lu Ya, as he received money for it. Over the next 10 days, the young man earned almost 300,000 cubic meters of stellar crystals, which he did not expect at all. At the same time, his victorious procession again increased his reputation. Our hero began to be noticed, as his name circled through all the branches of the Academy of Starry Sky, but this was not at all liked by one person who started all. Zai Yue returned to the Lyman clan and was in a bad mood due to the fact that even in her family, many discussed the young man. The girl was in despair and never hoped that someone would teach this bastard lesson. Somewhere in the 8th branch, right in front of the erupting magma, was lunch. The guy looked worried and was afraid to even squeak. He's been like that for more than 10 days. Did you lose? Suddenly there was a voice. Yeah, I'm sorry. Garbage. Lunk did not dare to object. Send people in 6 circles and say that anyone who sees students of the 10th branch, let him report to me. I will give them a life of paradise. Yes. Lu Yin did not even imagine what was happening in the outside world. In the Diwa Empire, a shocking event took place. The second prince, Duke Yushin, leading the 7th, 8th, 10th, and 12th special detachments, deserted and lightning-fastly captured the 5 star systems of the Empire, shocking the Blue Wave sector and all surrounding areas. The immortal Yushin was furious when he heard about it. His anger was so great that he lost consciousness, leaving the Diwa Empire completely confused. In the Imperial Palace, the gloomy Dalin Yuishin said, I declare a general alarm, the war began. I order to find traitors. Duke Yushin, captain of the 7th detachment of Batson, captain of the 8th detachment of Ma Shu, captain of the 10th detachment of Fall, and captain of the 12th detachment of Gorum. The sudden betrayal of the second prince caught the Dao Empire by surprise. By the time the people had come to their senses, all the faithful duke had gone with him. In this turmoil, no one was dealing with minor events, such as the inexplicable disappearance of Zhang Dinshin, Shi Ezhen, Bai Zhu, and Su Sanya. A few days later came the day of the first-year competition of the 10th Starry Sky. Our hero left the Desert Hope and appeared at the entrance to the test border, where the battles will take place. Chapter 136. When Lu Yin came, there were already a few people here. Lu's older brother, shouted Coco, rejoicing at the meeting with the young man. Our hero rattled her hair. Since then, you have tried well and even reached the sphere of the merger. Apparently you can already fight with me. The girl showed him the language. I don't want to fight you. We've all heard you win packs of other branches' students. Now you're a real celebrity. Lu Yin became more terrified of a slight stun. He did not particularly follow the news, and most likely, everyone around him said only bad things about him. Nearby, Zala sorted a large silver needle in her hand, from the sight of which the young man cried. He immediately remembered the gift of Coco, and it seemed to him that in the Hall of the Free Wind, everyone was operating medical devices as weapons. On the side at this time was Meng Yue, which also reached the merger and became much stronger. Feeling the sight of our hero, the guy provocatively showed him a fist. A little ago, Zia Lo sat relaxed next to the mentor of the battle of the test. Hei Su was sitting alone in the far corner. The attention of Lu Yin attracted his black hair, which seriously absorbed the surrounding light. Among all the first-year-olds, he was the most mysterious and quite strong. At this moment, Hughes came out of the fog of the transboundary stone, and the old man loudly declared, Hughes, 52 victories and 237 defeats. The boy was surprised that his friend was able to bring his percentage of victories to the level that Michelle had a month ago. When the guy saw our hero, he nodded a little and sat down on the sidelines. They were both from the Diu Empire, but they didn't know each other well. Hughes thought he was superior to Lu Yin, but soon realized that he had quickly lagged behind. Coco leaned over to the ear of the young man and whispered with a soft voice. He was a real madman, tirelessly fought in the Battle Kingdom. The border mentor once said that only in this way he will be able to solve his problem with potential. Our hero nodded. After a while, Silver appeared, smiling like a cunning fox. Seeing him, Coco took a couple of steps back because it felt a danger from him. Lu Yin waved his hand to a man and he looked at him. Congratulations, you have become a celebrity. I'm probably now the enemy of all mankind, the young man suggested. I wouldn't say it is, but you're the attention of some famous people. Our hero frowned. Some? Who is it? The New League of Humanity. He did not understand the Silver, he was too secretive, but the man is clearly somehow connected with the organization threatening the human race. When Hui Bai-yi arrived, he looked indifferently at Lu Yin and stepped aside. Soon there was a sharp aura of the sword. It was exuded by Zhao Ailong, who deliberately stared at the young man, after which he began to silently wait for the competition. Our hero continued to be perplexed what everyone was aiming at him so much, but on the other hand, he really wanted to fight with each of them. For a while, Michelle came. She also looked at Lu Yin and wanted to say something, but she kept back. Seeing her, the young man remembered the incident when the mentor Sha Hai helped him improve the flicker of the void. Then he saw the girl glimpse, and she seems to have noticed him too. Then came the Pao brothers. They looked very joyful. Who hasn't come yet? Asked De Pao. Lulu. The man looked at his watch and nodded. Well, we'll wait a little longer. It seemed that no one was in a hurry. Everything looked at ease. In other academies, of course, no one would wait for one person. An hour later, the girl came. She was all in sweat and breathing heavily. Seeing that everything is assembled, De Pao took them away from the cross-border stone and announced, "Excellent, we can start the competition of freshmen. First we draw a draw, and then one-on-one fights will begin. The goal of the competition is to determine your rating, so show everything you are capable of. Mentors will watch you, so I advise you to be as serious as possible. Perhaps you will be able to attract one of them, and he will accept you as personal students," Xiao Pao added. The people were excited about his statement. All of them came to the academy to become stronger as fast as possible, and the best way to do this was to learn from these mentors. The draw soon ended. Our hero pulled out the 9th number and looked around, noticing a dozen at Zal. So she'll be his first opponent. The woman also saw the number 9 in the hands of Lu Yin, and she was upset. As one of the best students of the Wild Wind Hall, she had her own communication channels. She knew how the young man had recently become famous. Zala gave herself a fair account that she could hardly defeat him. The older brother, it turns out, whoever loses in the first round, finally drops out, Silver asked. The younger Pao replied, "No, the losers will have a chance to challenge the winner." "Okay, if everyone knows everything, let's start. First and second numbers on the field," said De Pao. On the site came Zia Lo at the first number and Meng Yue under the second. When he saw a man, our hero looked at him. Of all the people, he was most curious gift of the heavens, He Zai, but he was also afraid of silver-haired and was interested in the power of Zia Lo. For him, this man was like a bottomless pit, because he still has not shown his true strength, and with Min Yue it is unlikely to show it. Zia Lo calmly looked at his opponent, who at that time stared at the moon. The guy was still on the man, because most of all he wanted to fight with the young man and Lula. "Follower, distracted in battle is a bad habit," said Zia Lo. Meng Yue turned to him and stood up. "I will not restrain myself, so be careful." After these words, he rushed into the attack, swinging at the man with the palm of devastation. Not so long ago, the guy found the ruins where he felt a strong aura of emptiness, that he devoured all life. He was shocked by this, since even in his sect of chaos, in the most sacred place, there was no such thing. Meng Yue stayed there for half a month, and successfully reached the merger, moreover. His palm of destiny also became much stronger. When the guy released the skill, the eyes of the mentor Sha Hai shone. The force of absorption. This student has a good talent. The palm of the devastation approached Zia Lo, who felt his forces slowly fade. The rest around the arena was silently amazed by what Min Yue has achieved over the past. Even our hero was surprised, but not too much. Buck. There was a loud explosion from the collision of two opponents, but it was the guy who flew back, on whose lips there was a trace of blood. His hand turned red and trembled. It was obvious that he lost. Everyone was shy, looking at the man that very easily dispelled the palm of desolation of Meng Yue. Xia Lo still stood in his place and smiled, but his friendly look caused only the cold. "Sinel, I won," said the man, looking at De Pao. The high school student came to his senses and nodded. The winner of the first fight, Xia Lo. Lu Yin knew that the result would be so, but did not assume that the man would cope with the guy so easily. How did he do that? Michelle looked closely at the winner. Among the newcomers, he seemed to her the most suspicious. The mentors who stood in the distance looked thoughtful. Quite masterfully coped with someone else's stellar energy. I think it's gonna be a great magician. "The participants of the second fight, please in the arena," announced De Pao. Hughes and Lulu came to the court. Seeing the girl, the guy was a little embarrassed. "Hey, why are you so bad by? Like I invited you on a date." Lula was upset that her opponent was not serious. "I don't like fighting women." The green-haired beauty was happy. "Well, then do not resist, let me win quickly." Having said this, she pounced on Hughes with her powerful fists. Our hero knew that Lulu had an advantage, but the result of the battle was hard to predict. After going through many battles in the Battle Kingdom, the guy gained experience, so at the moment when the fist of the girl appeared next to him, he instinctively jumped away. The next moment, there was a loud clap from the blow, which left a large hole in the ground. When Hughes saw the pit, he was trembling. If he were in that place, he'd be flattened. "Stop running, are you a man or who?" Lulu grinned, hitting again. The guy freaked out, immediately snatched his bloody red sword and struck a horizontal blow with his back. However, when the blade collided with the girl's fist, Hughes together with the blade threw up. Yeah, the Mobius family is merciless in close combat. The guy is quite brave since he decided to take this fight, De Pao exclaimed. Before Hughes fell to the ground, Lulu appeared next to him and hit him with her foot, which caused the guy to inertia fly down and imprinted in the ground. Hui Bai Yi was amazed. For some reason, it seemed to him that the girl used the skill of movement belonging to the Bai Yi clan. Boom! Another high-profile explosion was heard. The fist Lulu collided with the ground where Hughes had just gone, but he disappeared somewhere. The girl turned around and immediately saw the brilliance of a sharp, bloody blade. She had to jump away hastily to avoid a blow, where she, bleeded with her fists, asked, "Well, still decided to fight seriously." Chapter 137. Hughes spit out blood gathered in his mouth and squeezed his sword tightly. Lulu turned out to be a real monster in a girly guise. In such a fragile body, a huge physical power was enclosed, with which it is better not to face in the forehead. If he hadn't run her last punch, the fight would have been over. "I apologize for my rudeness. You're a worthy opponent," the boy said. The girl smiled slightly, but then snorted. "Show everything that she is capable of. You are one of the best young masters of the Diu Empire." "That's right, even if I lose, I'll at least show you what I stand," Hughes said, realizing that was the current reality. In the Diwo Empire, he was the best, and here he was one of the worst. The battle continued with renewed vigor. A green-haired beauty sat on a guy, not giving him a break, but Hughes managed to avoid dangerous moments. Apparently, his efforts in the Battle Kingdom were not in vain. The attempts of the guy and his powerlessness clearly showed Lu Inyu the weakness of the outer universe. Stellar energy control solved a lot. If in the outer universe the majority relied on external assistance, then in the inner cultivators used exclusively stellar energy, thus strengthening their techniques. Lulu had no special combat skills. She fought normally, relying on her inhuman power. In the last clash, Hughes wanted to take advantage of his strongest skill, but the girl ruthlessly destroyed him and threw away the wounded guy from the arena. De Pao shook his head. the winner of the second fight, Lulu Mobius. Our hero came up to Hughes and helped him up. The guy, holding his hand with the sore breast, smiled bitterly. "Thank you. You have tried well. Lulu is still from the Mobius family, and even in the inner universe, many are afraid of it, because she is one of the strongest." Lu Yin tried to console him. However, Hughes's view was firm. He clearly thought differently. "It doesn't matter what kind of family she is, it's still a human race. I lost, and I have nothing to say." The boy shrugged his shoulders. He admired the strong-willed character of the guy who reminded him of Zhang Dinshan. He was as unyielding and fearless. To temper such qualities in himself, a person needs to overcome a lot on his way. Participants of the third fight, please in the arena. Silver came out first. He had the 5th number. At the same time, Hui Bai Yi appeared on the site. Lu Yin focused on this fight, but not because of the master of the Bai Yi clan, but because of the silver-haired. Maybe others did not know, but the man was definitely associated with the new League of Mankind, the most problematic faction in the human star region. Seeing Silver, Zialo frowned a little. Since they entered the academy, after one battle in the Battle Kingdom, the silver-haired never fought anyone else. He was a gray mouse and was all ignored, including Hui Bai Yi, that he wanted to fight our hero. "A radiant finger," blurted out of the Bai Yi clan, sharply appearing before Silver, piercing the void with his dark gray finger, aimed at the enemy's heart. The Silver Wave kept smiling, but an ice shine appeared in his eyes. A beautiful butterfly knife emitted a slight click. It was clearly small, but no less dangerous. Hui Bai Yi quickly realized this, hastily changing the trajectory of his blow as soon as he felt at the fingertips of a suspicious cold. "It's a pity I didn't have time." Silver shook his head, continuing to watch the enemy. The man turned a little pale. If he hadn't had his hand, he'd be left without fingers. His opponent was definitely not as simple as it seemed. Lu Yin already fought with Silver, but their fights were not serious. But he always felt the danger from this knife butterflies, even now, when he became much stronger. High in the sky, the mentor of Guan Yu looked at Silver. He sees through the weakness of the enemy. The next moment, the initiative in the attack was intercepted by Silver, quickly waving his knife. Hui Bai Yi tried to avoid a blade, but strangely, each time stumbled upon it. Others might have seemed to have deliberately hit the enemy's guns, but it wasn't so much infuriated by a man. In the end, Huya pissed it out and he cried out, "The spiritual finger of the White Knight." The man cut the void finger and disappeared. Silver strained and looked around him. Fighting the master of the Bai Yi clan was a real headache, but this time the victory will still be for him. The next moment, the butter knife, shining with a white light, cranked along the void, from where the body of Hui Bai Yi immediately flew out, on the chest of which there was a deep, bloody cut. "I'm sorry, you stood so openly that I couldn't hold on," said Silver-haired. The man was shocked. Earlier, in the battle with our hero, he could at least attack, and then he was not even allowed to do it. Is this ever-smiling stranger so strong? Coco, who was standing among students, was slightly flinched. She's the only one who was very afraid of Silver. The rest looked at the Silver, remembering the cold runner on the back when he attacked the enemy for the last time. It seemed to all of them that they would not have been able to avoid that blow either. Michelle was intrinsically stunned. She thought that in this abandoned 10th branch, if there were new students, then only weak. Still, the Academy tried to act mainly masters of the external universe. That's just a month past, as it turned out, among the newcomers were real monsters. Only now the girl began to really learn what her classmates were. "Silver wins in the third fight," DePau said. But Hui Bai Yi refused to accept this. "The fight is not over yet." The elder Pao shouted, "If he wanted to kill you, you would be a corpse, so the fight is over and it is not discussed." The man opened his mouth, wanting to object, but there was nothing to say to him. He still could not understand how Silver-haired found him in emptiness. It was too easy for the enemy to reveal his skill. Silver, with a smile, left the arena, after which he nodded Lu in and looked at Zia Lo. Participants of the fourth fight go to the arena. After the first 3 fights, everyone began to behave more seriously. Everyone understood that their opponent is not at all simple, and it cannot be judged superficially. Zhao Ailong went to the court. He was number 7. On the other hand, Coco cautiously came out. "Show him, Coco," shouted Zala, scaring the girl who was very nervous. Lula also supported her friend. "Sister, don't be afraid, give him away." Coco looked at her and blocked her eyes, as if she was begging for mercy. Our hero laughed at himself. She was too nervous. Zhao Yilan was not at all glad that his opponent was the youngest among newcomers. He wanted to fight someone else fit him. The girl had to helplessly accept the fact that she could not escape from this fight. The guy took out of the scabbard a simple long sword. Seeing this, Coco took 2 steps back and gritted my teeth. "I don't have to be so afraid. I'm one of them. I need to show that I can do." With these thoughts, she got her huge syringe, stunned everyone around. Zhao Ailong had a jaw. With the exception of Lulu, Zal, and Luanya, the rest for the first time saw the gift of the heavens of the girl, the appearance of which was very peculiar. "I'm ready," said Coco. Standing on the opposite side of the arena, the guy squeezed the handle of the sword, but did not know what to do next. Still, his opponent was a girl, and also the youngest among all. For a while there was silence. "Choice defeat," said Zhao Yilan rudely. Coco shook her head. "Ni. Then I will not show mercy." "And me." The guy immediately fell off the place, swinging at the girl, but as soon as he was next to her, she disappeared, casting everyone into shock. Zala smiled after seeing Coco acted. The free wind hall sent them both to the academy, and although her younger sister specialized in treatment, she also had combat skills. In addition, the girl fought well, otherwise she would simply not be sent to pass the test of the 10th starry sky. Coco's lightning speed surprised even Lula, because her skill was no worse than the white flash. Zhao Ilan's blow fell to the void, but then the guy turned around and began to wave his sword, but did not touch the girl in this way. When he stopped, Zhao Ailong said again, "I'm talking for the last time, give up." Coco shook her head. "The power of the Mount of Sorts of Swords extends to the entire universe and is able to cut even the space. You can't hide from me anymore, so don't blame me if you die," shouted the guy and waved a blade upwards, suddenly calling for 10 ghostly swords. 10 ghostly blades, surprised Zal. Chapter 138. Coco hastily used its incredible speed to evade the attack. Zhao Ilan's sword swept through the space and cut off part of the shelf of the girl's short dress, but she was not touched by herself. "How many times will you still dodge?" shouted the guy, continuing to bombard Coco with 10 ghostly blades. The skill of the sword of Zhao Ilan was amazing and heavy in mastering, but the guy easily demonstrated him. Although the girl still dodged, but it was given it with great difficulty. Our hero was a little tense. When Zhao Ailong snatched his gift on the Infinite Rain platform, he was also influenced by the aura of the sword. The combination of 10 blades is definitely not the limit of the guy. In addition, he has already reached the sphere of the merger. Coco was suffocating, but continued to use its hyperscale. Sometimes she was hit by one of the swords, but she tried to defend herself with a syringe. After a while, 10 blades of Zhao Ailong turned into 20, and then 50. In the end, 100 swords hung over him that knocked the girl out of the rhythm and thrown off the arena. "Enough, Coco admits defeat," said Zala loudly, that she hurriedly appeared next to the girl. The guy removed his blade in the scabbard, thereby dispelling the technique, and calmly left the playground. No one was surprised that Coco lost, but she was able to force the opponent to use 100 swords, which was already an achievement. Seeing what Zhao Yingong was capable of, Lu Yin inadvertently thought about his already ex-fiancée. The girl was also a student of the Mount of Unshades, but most likely, with her talent, she could easily call a whole 1,000 blades. "The fourth fight winner Zhao Ailong," De Pao announced. Coco, holding the syringe, returned to the others but looked upset. Lula hugged her and exclaimed, "Little girl, your speed is good. You will need to see which of us is faster." "I don't want to compete with you, but what if I win and you're angry at the fight?" the girl muttered. Green-haired Beauty was taken aback. "What? Am I such a person?" "Couple of the fifth fight, please, at the arena." Our hero went out on the field and met Zal. The woman stood in front of him, her eyes shimmered. At first she was upset that she would meet him in the first fight, but now, having seen 4 fights, she did not care. None of the local students were much worse or better than a young man. Everyone was quite strong. Initially, she thought that in the 10th starry sky there would be no strong students, but somehow a group of real monsters gathered here. And the test of admission was monstrously difficult, not the same as that of other branches. In fact, they had to go through the standard of the inner universe. At this point, Coco, holding the syringe, slowly crept up to Hughes and asked very politely, "Are you very badly injured? Why do I help you recover?" The guy, of course, refused. The Free Wind Hall paid great attention to treatment, but in itself, this case could not help survive in space, where cultivators could kill you in a second. The girl just showed everyone incredible speed, but what is Zal capable of? "I know I can't beat you," the woman suddenly said, looking at Lu Yin. The young man was surprised, and, "I'm attacking you with my strongest skill. Please be softer." "Yes, Lu's older brother, softer with his older sister," said Coco. Our hero laughed. "Okay, I will do my best." Zola sighed deep, and at the same time a huge silver needle appeared in her hand, from the view of which Lu Yin ran the ice chill. "If this thing is stuck in it, it'll be fucking pain." At the next moment, the woman rushed into the attack, unceremoniously directing the needle in the forehead of the young man. Our hero easily avoided, but Zala pointed his finger directly into his stomach, and before the attack flew, a powerful gust of wind fell on Lu Yin. The young man felt the danger and hurriedly retreated. At the same time, the woman shouted and threw a large needle into him, which suddenly scattered to many small ones, and then pointed to him with index fingers. Coco slapped her hands with joy. Zal applied the combat skill of the Free Wind Hall, the cutting finger of blood. With it, it was possible to attack the vital points of the human body, and if you get in, you can seal the star energy of the enemy and even immobilize it. In general, the skill was murderous, but difficult to perform, so he was among the best techniques of the sect. Our hero felt that a point attack was going on at the fingertips of a woman. He didn't want to be beaten, so he lifted his hand and punched him forward. A powerful airwave shook the space, discarding the needles and Zal, which was thrown off the arena. Lu Yin pulled his hand, which was very trembling. It has been a long time since he used the palm of the void. The skill itself was weak, but in this battle he decided to try to strengthen it by connecting with the palm of the stream. He did not take risks and used only 6 waves, but this was just enough to not harm a woman and easily defeat her. "I admit defeat," said Zal. People looked at the young man with strange views. In this battle, he did not show any strength, but even so he was terrible, defeating his opponent in one turn exactly as Zia Lo. "The winner of the 5th battle is Lu Yin," said Depao. Our hero nodded the woman, returned to the crowd and touched his stomach, still feeling a little numbness. The Hall of the Free Wind was not a sewage. It is not surprising that he was in the inner universe. There was a big gap between him and Zola, but the woman was still dangerous. The 6th fight begins. Everyone immediately focused on this fight, as he was the last, and Michelle and Hey Sue participated in it. Among the first students of the 10th branch, these two stood out strongly. The girl was on the board of 10 sentences, and the man had a strange talent that no one has seen yet. The fight between these two will definitely be very interesting. Xiao Pao warned the students, "Everybody get away." Everyone retreated, leaving Michelle and Hey Zhu with more space. Two did not say anything and fought silently. The girl took out a short red bow and immediately began to shoot at the enemy. Each of her arrows distorted the space, but the man did not care. He did not even move. From his body inexplicably broke out the surge of energy, which blocked all the arrows of the opponent. The crowd was shocked by their strength. Each arrow of Michelle could be compared with 100 blades of Zhao Ailong, but He Su easily blocked them, which was even scary. Because of this, the guy looked ugly. He thought that he would rarely have to use the fusion of swords, but already in the first battle against not the strongest opponent, he had to use this skill. If he had faced a girl or a man, he would probably lose right away. The intense battle continued, filling the district with the sounds of explosions. Lu Yin was amazed by every second of the fight. He knew Michelle was very strong. In the end, she was able to join the main council of the 10 sentences. However, He Su's abilities surprised him even more. The man turned out to be a real monster whose power no one could understand. The arena shuddered, and the pressure of the girl became more and more furious. Each of her arrows was not only sharp, but also permeated the space. The expression of He Su's face remained indifferent, and the earth around the place where he was still standing was scattered. After a full 2 minutes of the attack, Michelle ended. She sighed a little and stared at the man in shock, because he did not take a step back. Xia Lo is amazed. If he understood correctly, then the gift of the heavens He Su was really horrified. Even the ever-smiling Silver became more serious. Our hero squinted. "Are you going to keep up with it?" the girl asked coldly. The man looked at Michelle and slowly raised his hand, which immediately became black. Seeing this, the girl froze and subconsciously decided that it was necessary to avoid. As soon as she jumped away, in the place where she was, first there was a black spot, followed by a terrifying explosion that tearing the space. The power of the strike was so large that the blast waved through Michelle more than 10 meters. Everyone froze abruptly because they saw that He Su's attack touched even space, which was impossible. In the field of merger, no one could do this. In the 10th branch, there was no such master, but the man somehow succeeded. The people did not know what to say. Everyone was shocked. Lu Yin did not understand why the attack of this black-haired was so terrifying. Xiao Pao smiled. "That's why I told you to go. Dar He Su explosion of space. With such an opponent, you need to be careful." The students were terrified. Explosion of space. As soon as you hear this name, you immediately come to an understanding of what was discussed. In truth, space is difficult to destroy. Even the most unstable part of it cannot be broken at the fusion level. Probably only the master of Granny can do something, but the gift of a man, he was special. When He Su awakened him, he already, in fact, bypassed many in combat power. Michelle stared at the enemy with fear. She knew that this man was dangerous, but did not expect that so much. The man silently moved his fingers. The girl's face immediately crept up, and she jumped to the side. At the same time, a powerful explosion of space was again heard. The audience decided to retreat even further. No one wanted to fall under the hot hand. Thick smoke clubs obscured almost the entire arena. Michelle was like a mouse that had to run from a cat, which she had never experienced, so she felt annoyance. At this time, the mentors gathered high in the sky, where Kuan Yu said, "A strong gift of heaven, but it is a pity that the boy's heart is closed from everyone. With this approach, he will not go far." The mentor Sha Hai nodded. This gift would even be terrifying in the first 3 branches. At his level, it poses a great danger, but as you said, with a closed heart, he will not be able to understand how to control it. "Leave him for me," Guan Yu asked. Others did not object. Buck. Another explosion was heard. Michelle turned pale and breathing heavily, and her clothes were sometimes torn apart, exposing the snow-white skin. When the chapters will be released, as well as other information you can find out in my Telegram channel https://t/me/Ra the Chapter 139. Everyone was sorry for the girl. She was so strong, but collided with a monster. "That's it, she can't stand it anymore. It's going to happen," Da Pao muttered. He has already seen how Zai Yue previously forced Michelle to use her gift of heaven, which, by the way, was also very powerful. Once again avoiding the explosion of space, The girl's eyes shone with a bright red light. She did not want to use her gift in the first battle, but when she was dealing with such an opponent, she had to go for it. The next moment, Michel blossomed red lotus under his feet. He was beautiful and attractive, like the girl herself, that, standing in its center, became like an irresistible demon. Heisu moved his finger, shooting a black beam at the opponent. Michel immediately stepped forward and disappeared abruptly. In the place where she stood, the space, shaking the ground, burst, but the girl appeared on the side and stood in the rack stand. Between her hands formed a red onion and an arrow, the tip of which was like a lotus. Almost at the same moment whistled a shot, sent to a black-haired man. The red arrow caught everyone's attention. Heisu clicked his fingers, directing black energy to her side. When their attacks collided, there was no explosion. Both strikes neutralized each other, creating a fault and disappearing. This shocked everyone, because who would know that they would see the masters of the merger, who are subject to destroy space? The man was surprised for the first time, but then again clicked his fingers, shooting a black ray at Michel. However, the beauty hurriedly escaped his attack, as well as the shock wave. The area of their battle was incredibly large. The people rejoiced that they had stepped away in a timely manner, otherwise it would be unpleasant to be between two fires. That's just in such a battle, where the attacks of the two sides were equal, who will win? The explosion of space rushed to Michel, surrounding it from all sides. The audience held their breath, realizing that the girl was in danger. But no one came to her aid, because the next second, another Michel appeared behind Heisu and shot him in the back. The attention of the black-haired man was focused on the girl who was standing in the distance. He didn't expect another one to show up. However, it was not some hypersparency, but an illusory trap. A moment later, the first Michel was absorbed by the explosion and scattered on the lotus petals, and the one that appeared behind Hei Zai hit right on it. Everyone was shocked by the gift of the girls and was looking forward to the end of this battle. The rumbling was heard. The body of the man was thrown away by tens of meters, where he fell, raising a column of dust. The audience was silent, waiting for everything to end. Two of Pao's two brothers also set up where Heisu fell. They had to know what the outcome of the battle was. Michel frowned. This fight turned out to be very hard. She was able to win only thanks to the trick, but for some reason she felt very bad. After a while, a quiet sound was heard. Inside the dust clubs, the man rose from the ground. The girl squeezed her fists tightly. Her red pupils shone brightly while she looked at the enemy. Heisu slowly went a little forward, completely unharmed. Only his outerwear was slightly torn, exposing the clover tattoo on his right shoulder. "Cleaver's Company," exclaimed Zal. Everyone looked at the man's hand. His tattoo was really the logo of the Clover Company. Michel was surprised, but finally learned the origin of her rival. There are rumors that Clever is raising talented masters, allowing them to travel through the universe for some time, gaining experience, after which he calls them back. I didn't expect it to be true. He is definitely one of the talented sprouts of the company, said Zal. The Hall of the Freewind was similar to the Clever Company, so the woman had already heard about what these sprouts are. Michel also heard of it, so she turned a little pale. Mila told her that getting into Clever's company, and even more so to become one of her shoots, was even harder than entering the Star Sky Academy. Heisu looked at his rival and raised his hand again. The girl shook her head. Enough, I give up. People are shocked. Our hero sighed hard. Michelle's star energy was exhausted. Its gift of heaven was strong, but also consumed a lot of effort. The gift of the black-haired, on the contrary, did not consume much energy, which once again confirmed how terrible he was. The winner of the sixth fight, Heisu, Dapao announced. The first round ended. The winners were Zia Lo, Lulu, Silver, Zhao Ailong, Lu Yin, and Heisu. The result was a little unexpected for all students. Thinking about a black-haired man, everyone unknowingly looked at our hero. Apparently, it is fate that these two monsters will meet in the second round. Learn, brother Lu, don't worry if you lose. You can take revenge in the future. Coco took the young man by the hand and tried to comfort him. Lu Yin was to bent that she had already written it off, but I had not even fought with him yet. The girl inflated her lips. Yes, you saw what a powerful Michelle hit him, and he did not even hurt. The young man shook his head. He didn't know if any of the students could see it, but Hei Su blocked the girl's attack, not accepting it with his body. There was always a layer of protection around him, and the arrow simply could not break it. In addition, the power of Michelle was overrated. It could not tear the space, just coincided at the moment of the release of the force of the black-haired gift. But he did not explain this Coco. KM Tilda, in order not to waste time, we will immediately continue the competition. The 7th fight is Xia Lo v Lulu. Yes, Pao announced. The man immediately went to the arena and looked at the rival. The girl knocked on each other with her fists, showing her combat spirit. Although Lulu looked like a very nice and beautiful girl, a small build, but her behavior was brisk, which is why she wore a boy. Every time our hero saw her like this, he remembered that giant turtle. Be careful, I will not spare you, said Lulu. Xia Lo nodded. Indeed, since you are already in the field of merger, I need to be careful with you. The girl swept away her green hair back and threw herself into the attack. The earth cracked from its speed, and the man hurriedly took 2 steps backwards, as immediately heard a muted sound. Lulu was hit with her fist forward, firing at the enemy with a compressed cone-shaped air flow. However, since Xia Lo walked away in a timely manner, it was easier for him to block this strike. The girl snorted with anger and disappeared with the help of a white flash. Appearing next to the man, she swung her leg. Xia Lo also met her attack, raising her leg. The strength of both sides was so powerful that when they collided, the earth underneath them failed, and the pair fell into the pit. At the same time, because of this, huge cracks began to spread all sides of the trench, one of which almost reached the place where Lu Yin and others were located. Everyone was surprised by how powerful their battle was, although both did not use any combat skill. Michelle was shocked. She felt the oppressive pressure from Xia Lo and Lulu. Doctor. The district shook, and the cracks became wider, splits all the ground of the site to pieces. Everyone had to fly into the sky to continue their observation. Boom. The green-haired beauty has long known that the man had a strong ability that weakens stellar energy. Because of this, she did not use it at all, but he somehow held against her, a member of the Mobius clan. Previously, the girl was upset that she could not win against our hero with pure physical strength, and now also Xia Lo. She was humiliated because in the battles where physical strength was used, the Mobius clan never lost. Lulu with anger shouted loudly, when suddenly a shadow of a huge tree appeared behind her, which increased its strength. Then she cut off a man with a ferocious blow. The destructive power of the girl influenced the ground around it more than in all previous battles. Everything within the radius of the kilometer turned into a huge crater, over which smoke and sand rose. Coco closed her mouth. It's a terrible thing. As he took off into the sky, Lulu looked around and said with a dissatisfied face, I lost. Everyone was abruptly confused. Why did she give up? At this time, Xia Lo came out of the ground and began to shave. Lulu, you are so violent, almost broke me. The girl rolled her eyes. Do you dare to make fun of me when you win? De Pao announced, the winner of the 7th fight, Xia Lo. Many were puzzled, as no one understood why Lulu lost. Lu Yin began to examine a friend and noticed a bleeding cut on her neck. He immediately realized that if it was a real fight, the girl would have left without a head. But when the man attacked, he didn't see anything to do. Chapter 140. The results of the battle forced Silver to finally remove a smile from his face. In the depths of his eyes, there was a brilliance of warfare. Hei Su stared at Xia Lo and involuntarily squeezed his fists. The mentor of the boundary of the test, who was sitting near the cross-border stone, slowly nodded. The dean was right that he decided to put on this young man. The fate of the 10th branch must change. The old Sai, who was in the sky with the rest, muttered, Many great forces have imprisoned their most talented geniuses in cryocammers to wait for the prediction of the sect of the creator of stars. Is that kid one of the argued? Meanwhile, the people moved further tens of kilometers from the destroyed arena, and Da Pao announced, "The 8th battle is Zhao Eilon against Silver." The guy came forward with a sword in his hand, drilling with a cold look to a man that he was smiling. Everyone was silent, but assumed that the silver-haired would win, because he caused them the same feeling as Xia Lo. "I'm sorry, I'll admit defeat," Silver said. The people were surprised. Why did he give up? The elder Pao was taken aback. "Are you sure?" "I am not an opponent of the master of the countless swords. The unity of hundreds of blades frightens me." "Zhao Eilon is angry. You just pretend." "Of course not. I admire your strength," said the man and left the court. But before that I nodded our hero, who wanted to fight the guy. The sack was angry because he did not feel sincerity in the words of the Silver. "Stop! Fight me!" Silver looked at Da Pao. The senior-year student was confused. He first faced a similar situation, but on the other hand, the rules were not violated. The winner of the 8th fight, Zhao Eilon. "I don't agree with this. He looks down on me." The guy roared up, pointing with a sword on the back of a man. "Don't leave. It's a fresh fly competition. It's serious here." The silver-haired turned around and pointed to Lu Inya and Xia Lo. "Instead of competing with me, it is better to save your strength for those two." The stove ground his teeth, but did not say anything else. Xiao Pao approached him and patted him on the shoulder. "Forget, you won." Zhao Eilong was offended. He didn't want to win like that. First Coco, now it's what an injustice. "Come back, victory is victory," Da Pao ordered, after which he announced, "Lu Yin versus He Su." Everyone hurriedly moved away and took the seats more conveniently. The people were looking forward to this fight. Firstly, they wanted to see the true power of the young man, since he recently became famous almost to the whole universe, and secondly, they were interested in who was stronger. The man went to the arena. All that could be reminiscent of the Battle of Michelle was only a slightly torn part of the outer clothing. Each of the fighters was under intense pressure. Both did not dare to underestimate each other, so they decided to fight with all their might. Without a ceremony, He Su shot a black ray in the face of our hero. Everyone was breathless, because even from the side of the people realized that a black-haired man used his gift to the fullest. Although He Su didn't talk to anyone, he heard about the strength of Lu Yin and once even saw his ruthless blow. The young man was not nervous and abruptly disappeared from the place where a second after the explosion was heard. He rushed through the emptiness and was next to the opponent. Everything was repeated exactly as with Michelle, but the girl did not have the strength to break through the powerful defense of the man. Our hero raised his hand over the black-haired, in the eyes of which there was contempt and indifference. He was clearly confident in his defense, because even Michelle was helpless against her. On the face of Lu Inha played a slight smile, and he waved a ninefold trembling palm, adding to this attack a morale, similar to a translucent white haze. Standing in the crowd, the brothers Pao, Silver and Xia Lo at the same time froze from the shock, staring in the hand of the young man. Boom! The next moment, a powerful airwave shook the space within a radius of 10 meters. The contempt in He Su's eyes was instantly replaced by shock and then horror. The man's face turned red and his mouth was bleeding. Although he was still standing in the same place, he fell underground because of a powerful suffocating force, from which he almost lost consciousness. Everyone stared at our hero, not knowing what to say. No one thought he would defeat the black-haired Clover in one stroke. The one who resisted the gift of Michelle was powerless in front of the guy. Coco broke her mouth. Her eyes froze motionlessly on the figure of Lu Yin. Michelle squeezed the eyebrows and squeezed her fists. Xia Lo nodded a little bit, as if he was thinking about something, and he smiled. Da Pao and Xiao Pao noticed a shock in each other's eyes. He Su was the one they considered the favorite of the competition, but he was unexpectedly defeated by just one enemy strike. Our hero looked at his hand, and realized that even the intense darling hands were not enough to break through the defense of a man. Only the morale was able to pass through the block, and even then, most likely, because the black-haired was careless. Nevertheless, he could also use the palm of the void, strengthening it to the maximum. His unexpected improvement in the physical body allowed him to do what was inaccessible to many. Soon Hei-Su got out of the pit and sat down on the ground. The people looked at him, trying to understand what they are in now. However, their assumptions turned out to be correct. The man could not get up for a long time, and when he got up on his feet, everyone saw a bloody print of the palm on his chest. Chernivostia silently looked at the young man and quietly left the court. People again turned their attention to the Lu Yin. For all, he was the real dark horse, which suddenly turned out to be stronger than Hei-Su. Michelle stared at the young man. In the 10th starry sky, there was such a strong freshman. Yes, if you put him on the level of masters of the first 3 branches of the academy, he would even be one of the best. At this point, Zhao Ailong was under the greatest tension, as he had to fight with the incomprehensible Xia Lo, or our hero. Lu Yin won the 9th fight. To save time, the next fight will be the last, so 3 who pass to the finals will participate at once. The young man immediately looked at Xia Lo and he said to him, "Brother Lu, so we have met in a real fight." "Great, I can understand your power." "I agree. I also find it interesting to taste your skills." Both talked to each other, spitting on a side by a guy who also went to the arena. This was a turmoil of the swordsman, whose inner anger inflamed with renewed vigor. When everything was ready, the fight began. In the blink of an eye in front of everyone, our hero and a man collided head-on in the forehead with the most common palms, but even so it caused powerful fluctuations that tear the surrounding land. "Everyone's back," Depao hurriedly shouted. Lu Yin was surprised. He released 9 times the cheap palm, but only 3 waves really hit the opponent, and the rest were inexplicably dispelled. The smile on Xia Lo's face shone even brighter. He finally understood why the black-haired could not stand the blow of our hero. Thanks to the 9-fold reinforcement and morale, the attack of the young man could have passed even the most durable defense, including his own. Fortunately, Lu Yin did not use the morale, so he stopped 6 waves out of 9. There was a powerful roar and both opponents bounced off each other. When the young man came into contact with the earth, he used the technique of the star, surrounding himself with 7 luminaries. Our hero did not forget the mysterious defeat of Lulu and did not want to lose the same way. The man's eye was ripped to the palm of Lu Yin. Now he looked very serious. Although some combat skills could be neutralized with the help of stellar energy, but it was not with everyone, otherwise there would be no sense in them at all. "Get down!" shouted the young man, sending a left palm to Xia, over which 7 stars circled, and the right one, where the trembling palm was reinforced 9 times. The man and our hero attacked at the same time, but both hit with their right hands in the direction of Zhao Ailong that finally began to act. The poor man was under 2 powerful attacks that simply detonated it, throwing 100 meters for the arena. At the same time, the left palms of the 2 rivals collided with each other. The star palm with the 7 luminaries was equal in the power of the reinforced treacherous palm. Besides, it was impossible to dissipate it. Lu Yin was sure that this attack would overtake its target. That's what happened, but when Xia Lo was thrown back, he managed to snap his fingers, sending an invisible sharp wave of energy into the boy's neck.